package of StreamYard. So you
We're live.
so you can
We
go
are.
you can go 1080 on your video there, Kevin. All right. Welcome, ICP fans, to a mid-winter silly season update and look back on the 2022 IndyCar series as it was or seemed to us. My name is Franklins. And somebody keep going.
All right. Well, my name's Abby Meyer. I am the host of the Fast Cars, Fast Girls podcast. Longtime listener here for the Indy Sports Car podcast. I think even longer time friends.
Oh yeah. I mean, I lost count how many times you've been on, Abby, and I'm glad you came on tonight. You know,
I'm glad to be here. I'm always glad to join the show. So thanks again for the invite. Always enjoy a good collab with the ISCP. So thank you very much.
Well, hell yeah. Hell yeah. And thanks, guys. I'm Kevin Krause. I host the Seventh Gear Overrev podcast. Longtime listener, first time caller. So I'm glad that you guys asked me to come on tonight.
Wah, wah.
But
Yeah,
no,
and
happy to be back with everybody.
Oh, which Kevin, I believe that I owe you a response about a collaboration, and I would love to.
Done. It is done.
Yeah,
Done
I'm sorry.
and done.
There was somebody else that has been like hounding me that I want nothing to do with, and I was like, wait, what was the name of that? And so I just wanted to make sure it wasn't that person. But yeah, no,
I'm not that guy. I'm not
you're
that
not.
creeper.
We're good. So yeah, no, let's do it.
Done. Sounds
All right.
awesome. Thanks, Abby.
No
heard it
problem.
here first.
Yeah,
And I am Matt Polanski, co-host / producer of the Red Sector MotoGP podcast. We are trying really hard to get out our final season wrap up, and it's just scheduling is a nightmare right now, especially with the holidays. So yeah, if you like speedy motorbikes, listen into that.
Hell yeah! I mean, who doesn't?
I don't.
Who doesn't like speedy motorbikes?
I don't.
It's
watching. I I like fast bikes. I like riding them. I can't watch it because I have a panic attack. I just can't do it, man. MotoGP racing is literally like a panic-inducing torture session for me to watch. I can't do it.
The biggest thing I've heard is motion sickness, because when they go to the front or rear-facing cameras, and all of a sudden you are watching the bike lean.
Oh yeah,
and you're it's going back and forth.
You know what I want though? I want those chairs like in the theaters that it made it feel like you were on a roller coaster. Yeah, exactly. I want to watch a MotoGP race in a chair like that.
Or just listen.
I want to just be on that camera angle and just.
Or you listen to Max L on a chair with a scarf. You know.
Or that.
Okay.
I mean, is that too old of a reference? I mean, it was like 30-year-old reference right there, isn't it?
It is an older reference, but it's still positive.
It is.
I mean, what Family Guy did it, Futurama did it, Rick and Morty did it.
I'm sure The Simpsons did it.
Mm-hmm. What was the last one? Remember that movie where never mind. So I just want to say that Jared DePaul is still part of ISCP. He's not with us today. He's going to take a bit of a step back for the foreseeable future, but he won't be gone. He'll be on when when time permits it. But he's just been in a busy life, so he talked to us beforehand and said he's just going to take a step back. So I just want to say to Matt, I appreciate you stepping up, man. Looking forward to all the shows, and of course Kevin's with us every show as well. So just want to say, Jared, we're gonna miss you, but we're looking forward to you coming back when you can, and and Merry Christmas, to Jared and his family.
For sure.
Let's not forget old-timey radio guy. Yeah.
Say here.
Yeah.
Say
Well, and we actually were talking before we started recording. I was talking about my show, and it's like sometimes you kind of have to take a little bit of a step back and for me, it was like that Ron Swanson quote, like, "Don't half-ass two things, whole-ass one thing."
Mhm.
Right?
It's like whole-ass one thing, get it handled, and then whole-ass the other thing.
Yep.
Love
Right.
it.
Yeah,
And I have a lot of ass to do it all. So
and sometimes real life gets in the way. The
oh yeah.
reason I said I didn't, I'm the host slash producer of the Red Sector. A few months ago I started a new job and I couldn't host anymore. Doing a podcast with two English people is kind of hard with the 5 hour difference. So
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
you kind of for the sake of the podcast, I
Yo,
was like, you guys keep
Matt.
doing it. I'll take a step back and do some behind the scenes stuff.
Hey Matt, speaking of you doing a podcast with English people,
Mhm.
I got into I was yelled and screamed at on Twitter
Oh boy.
by the old F1 announcer that we all grew up
Oh
with.
no.
And I can never remember his name right off the top of my head when I really need to remember it. But he was the F1 announcer for America, for us growing up. He does Formula E now, or at least he did until he had cancer. You guys know what I'm talking about? Anybody help me out here? The
I
announcer.
keep
You know,
thinking
I don't watch
Bob
F1
Varsha.
because I don't
Yes,
like
Bob Varsha. Bob Varsha. That's it.
I don't like
Okay.
parades.
What's that?
I said I don't watch F1 because I don't like parades of any
Oh,
kind.
I mean,
So
I haven't watched F1 in 2 years,
Yeah.
and whenever I find out that they are on, I'm like, I don't fucking care.
See, I'm not a
people
big
ask me
soap
all the
opera
time. They're
fan.
like, "Did you catch the F1 race?" No, I didn't. No, I
I
didn't.
don't watch, and I don't watch Formula E, but I pulled Bob Varsha out of my ass. So
Well,
You know
yeah,
what?
you were dead on.
You-
You got the brownie points for that.
So,
Mhm.
so I got a hold of Bob Varsha about 3 years ago, right?
Mhm.
And he was in France, and I asked him, "Would you come on the show?" And he said, "Of course." It was after he wanted to know where I got some information from on how much a Formula One car costs for an entire season when it's all said and done with the car, the team, and everything else. And it's about 2 billion. But I don't know if that's true or not. I just got that from somebody else, so he wanted to know where I got that number from, so I gave him my source, whatever. He never told me if it was wrong or not. I guess he just wanted to know if I just made that up out of my ass. But I didn't. I don't think it's right, but I don't care enough to research it. So I said it. But so he was like, yeah, 6 p.m. your time tomorrow. We'll do it. I'm like, all right. So it's me. Adrian was on the or I mean, at I can never say his yeah no, was it Adrian? Never mind. So anyway, 6 a.m. in the morning, I wake up to like 11 tweets cursing me out, saying how unprofessional I am and how I fucking wasted his time and what kind of a, you know, just what kind of a lazy piece of shit are you and this, all this other stuff, right? So, and I'm waking up, I'm like, oh my God, Bob Varsha, like the guy I grew up watching, him telling me what's going on in F1 my whole life,
Mhm.
is cursing
Yeah.
me out. Like my life is so odd. So
Never meet your fucking heroes, right?
yeah, honestly, like I met Paul Page the first time in Iowa. Took to talk to him for an hour. The guy was amazing. I'll never forget that. But Bob Varsha, on the other hand, he
I met
cursed me
Art
out.
Lindike for the first time, and he was amazing.
Was he? Yeah, he is a pretty cool guy. Yeah, he is really
Yeah.
nice.
He won the first 500 I ever went to, and it was like but I had never met him, and oh, he was just as cool as I wanted him to be. Sorry,
Nice.
sorry
Ryan
for that.
Hunter Ray. Ryan Hunter Ray
Tangent.
won the first. Well, Ryan Hunter Ray won the first Indy 500 I ever went to go see, and then
Aw.
a few weeks later at Road Atlanta, he almost drove. He almost backed me over in his golf cart.
Ah,
No shit.
Yeah, I wasn't paying attention. I had my back to him, and Jason, who I started the podcast with, he was with me, and he yelled, "Ryan, stop!" And he stopped, and I look behind me, and he's literally like 3 feet away from me, and Ryan's looking at me like, "Oh my God, dude, I'm so sorry." So I got on his way. I'm like, damn, Ryan,
what the fuck?
I'm like,
What the fuck, bro?
if I get run over by Indy 500 champion, like I don't know what that says about you, bro. Like, you know. So he started laughing, but
He's a
but
good
anyway,
guy.
Yeah, Ryan is really good. Like after he won the championship, he got a little bit of like New Garden syndrome, I call it. You
Yes.
know, but the years after that humbled him back down a bit, just like I'm pretty sure this year humbled New Garden down because I love what New Garden said about the CW. Did you guys hear about his quotes
Mm.
about the CW and the new show coming out? It's kind of like
Wow.
Netflix's F1 show, but it's all about
Mhm.
IndyCar. You know, uh,
100 Days to Indy.
that's what
Yeah.
it's called. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Matt. So 100 Days Indy, it's going to premiere on the CW. You'll never believe when it's premiering. It's premiering 100 days before Indy starts. So
Way.
go look at the calendar for it. And
Yeah. My only hesitancy, I'm very excited about it. But typically we have a local party that's the 100 days out, the 100 days to the 500. And so I hope that with them doing this, that it's not going to then negate the local party.
yeah,
Because
like
that's really fun, and it's totally free. It's just a limited number of tickets, and so like as soon as they go on sale, like and one person can get up to four, so like you can't go on there and buy like 50, and be a dick about it. But it's free, and like Jim Cornelison, who sings "Back Home Again" in Indiana now, he always comes down from Chicago. They have a couple drivers, because there's so many that are local to Indy, and honestly, and then they just serve pizza. Like it's very basic. Well, and of course there's open bar. Well, it's cash bar, but I mean not open bar. They
some
know
of these
better than
are.
to do that with IndyCar fans. But it's so much fun. So that's my only like. I really hope that this show doesn't affect that party because I don't feel like they should be mutually exclusive because it's just such a cool fan event.
Mhm.
Yeah, like I really hope they show the the true drama that goes on between the great personalities of IndyCar because there's a lot of it and their personalities
Yes.
are great because I mean, we all know about what Netflix did with F1.
Mhm. I'm,
I mean, they literally made Tuna
They
Face.
made a parade look fucking interesting. That's what they did. I'm sorry.
Yeah, because they manufacture drama like
Not for my opinion.
they manufacture drama between you know
Marco Lewis.
the incredible Mr. Limpet. What the hell's his name? He
who?
he won the championship last year.
Max Verstappen?
Verstappen, yeah, he looks like a
Yeah, yeah.
tuna. Like he literally looks like a tuna. I want to like throw a hook in his mouth and just
His dad is a piece of work, by the way.
Yeah, he's not a good guy.
He's a fucking douchebag and a half. Like,
Yeah. Piece of work is code for piece of shit.
Yeah.
yeah. Well,
honestly, piece of shit's an understatement.
Have
Like,
you ever heard
yeah,
the story Max talks about where he lost a race?
yeah. And his
Yeah,
dad fucking left him.
so for anybody who out there listening who doesn't know the story, Max Verstappen lost a race while he was karting, and his dad
a
was driving
child.
him home.
As a
Yeah,
child.
as a child, and his dad pulled over, kicked Max out of the car, drove off, and his whole like defense of the story is, well, his mom was right behind us. Meanwhile, his mom was
Yeah.
like 5 minutes back, rolled up, and saw her son standing on the side of the road.
that's
Yeah.
awful. What an
Yeah.
asshole.
Yeah.
What a
Right.
jerk. Like not for nothing. I never knew that Max Verstappen's father raced in F1. Does anybody know about the great
Jost Verstappen.
yeah, like from F1 back in the day? No, nobody's ever heard of this idiot. Like I never heard of him
No, he
until
was
I only
did.
did because it was for a Halloween episode that Molly and I did because we like to look up crimes, like unsolved crimes, things that are like in and around Speedway or related to racing, etc. And so one year I did Max
child
Verstappen
abuse.
because yeah, well, and his dad because honestly, no, like his dad has all these crazy charges and like there's a bunch of other shit
Oh
um
yeah, he's a
that his
piece.
dad's been accused of, in
He's a
addition to just being a fucking shitty father.
Right.
Yeah.
he's a bad boy that proves money can get you out of whatever you do.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Ain't that right, OJ?
Jesus.
Follow
Right.
the money.
But going back to this 100 Days to Indy,
Yeah.
I hope it I hope it does better, showing the behind the scenes, because what Drive to Survive did was just dramatize an already dramatic sport. Formula One is a soap opera with a race at the end of it, end of every weekend. And Drive to Survive just took that and turned it up to 11.
Well,
So
see,
I'm hoping they can like maybe show more behind the scenes, but at the same time, I'm just hoping anything is better than when MotoGP Unlimited came out. That was if as long as they can get this series out in one weekend, and mind you, we don't know if it's going to be like a Netflix series where it's all dumped at one time. It's CW, so it's probably going to be like a weekly thing.
Yeah, I would think
But
so.
as long as it's not like just completely awful right off the get go, anything will be better than MotoGP Unlimited.
Well, and honestly, the documentary that they did about Scott Dixon,
Mhm.
Born Racer, I feel like they did an excellent job with that. Like, it showed the drama, it showed
Mhm.
the interaction. I mean, all of these
I
things
remember
that
that.
you say you want. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it, you
Eh,
know,
eh,
but it didn't have like any kind of negatives, and it didn't like
no, but
manufacture fake shit. And
Right.
so knowing that, I'm like, and because everybody in IndyCar had to sign off on that because that team had to have like free reign at races and shit.
Mhm.
And
let's be
and
honest,
I
they
got
did.
blown off 3 different times by Scott Dixon because of the damn camera crew that year. 3 different times. I'm
I
like, I,
never
I take it personally now.
I never understood why they picked Scott Dixon, the most boring man in IndyCar. Let's be honest. I mean, whenever Scott Dixon is leading a race, you're like, yeah,
It's like as
especially,
soon as he gets in the lead, and you're like, okay, how much longer do we have here?
It's
yeah.
like you
Well,
come on a
that's why
commercial break and it's like,
Whenever,
oh, Scott Dixon's in the top three. He's likely going to win because of their strategy. God
because
damn it.
Dixon doing Dixon things.
yeah,
Exactly.
because I mean, let's be honest. I mean, aside from say like willpower or you know, I mean, they're both the best two drivers in the league or in the series, hands down, and they've proved it time and time again. They don't have anything left to prove to put them both at the top of the list of the driver standings as far as skill go at the end of this year, and like overall. I mean, I can't think of another driver that would come in between Will and Dixon as far as lifelong skill goes because
Oh,
like who I mean who's racing right now, who's in the series, like who finished the series racing almost every race this past year is what I'm saying.
I mean,
Garden.
statistically, Newgarden is a great driver. But
I agree.
Newgarden doesn't know how to handle a true super speedway.
Yeah, plus I mean, he's only got what he's got one Indy 500, right?
No, he's never won the
Oh,
500. He
Oh, you're
shits
right.
the bed at the
yeah.
500.
No.
You're right.
His
You're right.
best
Right.
ride ever was his rookie year. But he
He does
shits the
have a
bed
championship, doesn't he? Didn't he win the championship the other year?
twice.
Uh,
He's
Right.
got 2 championships.
Right.
So
Exactly.
I'm not saying
Abby's
he's a
on
bad
it.
driver,
Like
but I'm saying he's not the most versatile driver. Um,
no. I
the way
mean,
that our series is
short
set up, it
ovals.
works
Yeah.
out for him because we only have one big oval, and that's IMS. But like statistically, Power and Dixon are the most versatile and adaptable drivers. When
mhm.
we go to a new track, they're the first ones to figure it the fuck out.
Yep.
Like when they changed up the road course, didn't phase them. We
Nope.
go to Nashville, doesn't phase them. I mean, they're untouchable when it comes to that. The number of races they've won. I mean, yeah, Dixon with where he's at and the number of races he's won, Power with where he's at with the number of poles he's won. I
Mhm.
mean, these are legends that, 20, 30 years from now, people are going to look at us and say, "I can't believe that you talked to these guys." Like, I can't believe,
Yeah.
they're the AJ and Mario of our time.
Yeah, like
Good point, Abby.
yeah, it's just like I mean, I didn't get to drink milk with when Dixon won the no. When's the last? Did Dixon when did
Yes.
Dixon won the
Oh wait.
Oh wait, right. Yeah, I didn't get to drink the milk then with him, but I mean, when Will won it, I got to drink the milk with him.
Yeah, you
So
did.
yeah,
I
but
saw you on TV. I mean, I was there live, but when I rewatched it on TV, I saw you
nice.
because
Yeah, I know.
everybody knows you have to watch it live and then you go home and you watch it again.
Yeah,
Exactly.
well, my phone shut off for 40 minutes. I couldn't turn it on. Every time I turn it on, it was just like it
Just,
yeah, it
just
it
seizured.
yeah, it had a heart attack. Like, I can't take it.
Just yeah. We gave your phone a brain aneurysm.
But like, even
But,
if you
like,
just look at
who's the
like,
closest driver? That's my question.
well,
This
and
year, at the end of this year, who raced every race, who would be number 3 behind these 2 drivers that, once these 2 drivers retire, which is getting nearer by the year,
Mhm.
you know, who do you think is gonna take over that one spot really, really, really soon?
Well, I mean,
Scotty Mac.
well, you look at the
Really? That's interesting. That's a good prediction. I like it.
you look at the standings alone, and it was Willpower, Newgarden, Dixon, McLaughlin, and
Yeah,
then
so you got the
Palou,
old school and the new school right there, right, mixing it up, man. That's
Mhm.
awesome.
you got
And
Palou, Erickson.
name another racing series that has that. And literally, that's what
Well,
I mean, the way the points shook out this year are exactly
Mhm.
the way the races were, you know, race
Mhm.
and race
Yeah.
out as far as, battles on the field. So there is no reason why this 100 days to Indy needs to create any drama because these drivers create enough of it on their own. Their personalities, are
Oh,
the
they're
right.
great.
Yeah,
Even when there's not like animosity between them, just the general like dicking around
yeah,
with
Mhm.
the guys, like and that's what makes our sport great is the accessibility and the fact that we're able to see their
yeah,
personalities. I mean, granted, it's all a little whitewashed because sponsorship, etc. So
Right.
they're never 100% themselves. But I feel like we get to see more of their actual personality in IndyCar than you do in a lot of other series.
yeah,
And there's
yeah.
just so much fun that happens naturally. You don't even have to manufacture it.
Mhm.
Name the last F1 driver that had ping pong balls filled up his jacuzzi. Come on, that was amazing. That was hysterical.
I don't think they're allowed ping pong balls
Bouncy
in the paddock.
balls. I think there are bouncy balls.
No, they were Orbeez.
or were they?
They were
Or
Orbeez. Yeah.
Orbeez?
Hey,
I
buddy.
honestly, I wish I'd have taken a picture of it because I walked right by it in the fucking motorhome park, and I was like,
Did
Oh.
you really?
"That's." I
So,
did.
Oh,
so
you should have gotten in and taken a picture. It's a ball pit.
You're right. I should have dropped the. I totally dropped the ball.
Yeah,
Literally,
that's a missed
pun
opportunity.
intended.
was it Cal
Oh,
Nyla
wait,
in the end?
real quick. A pun walks into a bar and kills 10 people. Pun in, 10 dead.
Oh, well played, Abby.
Thank you.
Well played.
I didn't
I
create
like
that.
it.
It's so bad
No,
that it's good again.
it's
Like,
so bad it's good.
I don't
yeah,
get it. What's it mean?
pun intended.
Yeah.
Pun
Pun
in
in.
and
Pun
Pun
in,
in 10
oh,
dead.
10
Pun
dead.
intended.
And dead.
Yeah.
bang the
10
bell.
dead.
I am I am slow.
I think looking at this series as opposed to Drive to Survive and MotoGP Unlimited, I think I think it's going to fall into the same category that MotoGP got like slubbed into, where it was like Drive to Survive gripped people because they manufactured so much drama. They
Mhm.
Yeah,
cut and edited that series so to make everything more dramatic. There were
Oh,
you
there was
watch
more
more
editing than there is on Big Brother.
yeah,
Like,
right.
and there's like there was a clip from this race and a clip from that race. It's like those two events had nothing to do with each other, but you just threw them into the same storyline to create drama where
there
like
was none.
and MotoGP Unlimited was more of a behind the scenes look where if you're a fan of the sport, you're like, this is the stuff I want to see. I want to see the behind the scenes. I want to see these riders with their families and talking with the teams and the little bit of behind the scenes stuff that you don't see through the normal. And I feel like the road to, or the 100 days to Indy is going to be the same thing, where it's like, these guys are all friends. They all know each other. Yeah, you might have the little rivalries here and there. You might have
Yeah.
this rider
Yeah.
rider A doesn't like rider B.
You might have the entire paddock hate on Grosjean at the moment. You never know if they've got
Everybody hates Santino Ferrucci, but like,
And look at him. How could
He
you
knows
not?
it and he loves it.
yeah,
Or Colton Herta. Yeah. Name your
But-
favorite.
it's like,
Look, I
I
hate
feel
Colton
like
Herta. I don't like Colton Herta on a personal level because because once somebody's a dick to my wife, I don't
Your
let it
reason
go.
is valid.
yes, but it's like,
By the way, I got into an argument with Bob Varsha about that too. But that was during the interview because
Oh.
because after he realized that he fucked up and he read the time zones wrong and it was really for 6 p.m., but he thought it was 6 a.m. So after him cursed me out, it was a whole lot of apologizing.
well, at least he apologized.
Yeah.
Idiot.
So then on the interview, we got an argument about how I thought Colton Herta was a dick. And he was like, no, he's a nice guy. I'm like, yeah, to you're Bob Varsha. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm like, I really hate to tell you something, Bob, but you know, the people who talk to you, you're getting about the best of them.
Mhm.
you rarely get the worst of people. And let me tell you something. Colton Herta is he needs to work on, finishing second and not acting like that it's the end of the world. He needs to act, he needs to humble himself and be nice to the people who actually give a shit to want to talk to him and ask him a question or two or whatever.
Yeah,
I
he
was
got
like,
too big for his britches real quick.
yeah, I was like, but hey, he's got that Steinbrenner money, so what should he care? He's not going to lose it
I
because
mean,
that's
I will say he's always had BDE, so I'm not surprised because you got to remember how young he is.
oh yeah,
Also,
yeah, and
and I mean,
That's what Bob said.
I have a friend who, by the time that we were like 25, when people would say like, "Oh, I want to introduce my friend so and so," he would always be like, "How old are they?" And if they were 23 or under, he wouldn't even meet them. He had no interest because
Sure.
23 and under, literally your frontal lobe isn't even developed. And so he was like, I literally don't have the time or the patience for anybody that's still that stupid. He's like, when you turn 24, we can maybe hang out and grab a beer sometime. But like, nope, had no interest. So I will say some of that I think he's going to grow out of.
Mhm.
Just
Well,
because I talked to him before IndyCar when he was, not huge.
Mhm.
And
yeah.
like, he's got a good foundation. He wasn't a douchebag as a teenager. So I
Did he
feel
win the
like,
race when you talked to him by chance?
did he win the race?
Yeah, when you
Yes,
talked to him.
yes, he did.
Well, there's the difference, because he was in second behind Pato when Missy talked to him, and
Nah.
he was not very friendly. And look, I get it. If you're really competitive, and it was a close race, and I'm pretty sure Colton has
Oh
lived
no,
in
no,
the
we talked to him before the race. Sorry, it wasn't.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Oh
got
yeah.
you.
No, no, no.
But
I do
but
before. I don't do post race because too many of them are dicks, and I'm like, whatever. I'm not putting up with your shit.
but like watching Colton race Pato for the last, years that I have
Yeah.
through Indy Lights and all.
Mhm.
Colton has been racing behind Pato's shadow his entire career. His entire career. Sometimes he bests Pato, but most of the time it's not even Pato's fault that he does. He either has a bad car or something happens. But if it's a Pato Colton Herta 1-on-1, I've seen the result, and it's a 26-second differential in a race that doesn't matter in Portland. All right.
Mhm. And I worry, like, what happens when he inevitably gets to F1.
Who, Colton?
Whether,
He
yeah,
will not. Colton
whether
will
it's as
never
a
make it to
reserve
F1.
driver
He will
or
never make it to F1. I'm sorry. There's too many F2 drivers. There's too many F1 stand-ins.
well, and
It will never happen. And you know what? Europeans and F1, they hate Americans. I hate to tell everybody this. They
well,
despise us. Unless you're as good as Mario freaking Andretti, you're not getting into F1. And Colton Herta is no Mario Andretti. There's no way.
I know that there's been talks of an Andretti team, and I feel like if that does happen,
I don't
If
think
it does, I feel like that's basically just handing Colton Herta a free pass straight to F1. And if he gets her, I feel like he's going to be the most pretentious ass.
put it this way, Matt. If there is even a possibility,
Mhm.
F1 will change the rules on super licenses and how they can get them, and they'll make sure Colton doesn't have enough.
They'll
Oh yeah,
raise like
they've
the
got a hard on for not letting anybody associated with Andretti into it.
Mhm.
America, period. America, period.
Uns-
And they
Yeah.
hate us even more that
Oh,
we're taking all their star talent lately.
but they love our money.
Well, of
They'll have
course,
races here, but they'll
well,
act
and
like they're too good for us in every other way. And that's what irritates me about the Drive to Survive show is that I'm like, okay, now you did this to create more fans in America
right,
mhm.
because you knew you're releasing it on US Netflix specifically because not all Netflix in every country has the same shows.
right.
And so you knew you're releasing it here. You knew you're going to create more fans, but then you're still going to act like you're too good for us?
Yeah, because they're
Like,
profit. Look,
really?
F1 and the FIA are no different than FIFA in the way they act and treat and take money wherever they go. They don't care where they go. They don't care if they go to Sao Paulo and start riots. They get money. They don't care if they're going into the middle of a freaking war zone, you know. They're getting money. Like they don't care if they go to the most communist freaking country who literally has concentration camps in the western borders of their desert. They're getting money. They don't care. They're just like FIFA. You know, you think IndyCar is going to race in China? No, they won't.
No.
You know, and I'll boycott the hell of it if they do. I don't want to get into this a geopolitical thing about China. My point being is we do need a race in Japan. Japan deserves it. You know, Japan has shown a great fan base for IndyCar
Oh,
with Sato and
huge.
everything.
We
You
need
know,
a race in Mexico.
yeah, I mean, they have Suzuka. They have, I mean, you know, how long ago was the damn earthquake, Montigi? Will you get your act together, fix the damn track if you haven't already? You know,
Twin ring,
yeah,
twin ring Motegi. I
yeah,
always get that one mixed up.
yeah. You know, where
It's a
Danica
tongue
Patrick,
twister.
when Danica Patrick won that amazing fuel stop. So look, um. I'll never give her credit for that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, me neither.
I mean, I've seen, you know, I have seen Ray Hall win races on the same strategy, and I don't give him the credit for it either because he's
Well,
just not that.
because every race was gonna be his race until whatever happened happened.
Oh, you can. He showed up
Every
that
race
day.
was gonna be his
He's
race.
Abby. He showed up that day. He was supposed to win. You know, I put my shoes on this morning. I felt like a winner. I don't understand what happened. That guy. You know.
Oh,
So what if I look
this
like
was gonna be our race.
So what if I look like an idiot that serves burger and fries? Did I
You know
race
what? I will say this: since he's become a father, he's done a lot less whining and a lot more shit talking and calling people out on their shit. And I am here for that, Graham Rahal. I
uh,
am here for that, Graham Rahal,
I
7 days a week.
love it, and I also love it that he's been doing the same thing that Will did. That I personally think Will doing improved the racing of the sport because they listened to him. He's been bitching about, you know, track conditions, different turns that need to be changed. You know, the way people are racing, the way the sport's going. He won't just complain about other drivers. He'll complain about the series of what needs to get better for the racing to get better.
Yeah.
And I
No,
love
and
that about him.
I love that. I do love that.
You know,
Totally agree.
remember Will Power? He won a race, then was mad, got on the mic and just said this was a bullshit race. Texas has to change. Yeah, what was that? Okay. Don't know what that was.
I don't know. It
Anybody
sounded
else hear
like
that?
glass breaking. Yeah,
Yeah,
I heard
right.
Great
it.
sound effect though.
That was yeah, nice, right? But
That
like, you
was
know,
Frank's epic take.
but yeah, but like, is that what that sound effect was?
I
Who
don't know.
played
That's what we'll
who
claim it
played
as.
who played that? Anybody else
Mm.
played it?
Not me.
Wasn't me. I was just sitting here. Anyway, okay, moving on. So, the hell was I saying? Oh yeah, he wins a race and he's mad and he's on TV, basically shit talking the series about how ridiculously easy that race was, and things need to change because that was boring, and he's all mad, but yet he's getting a trophy for it. And when he did that, I'm like, I love this man. This is what the sport needs. We need more of willpower and to stick up for this kind of stuff. Like
Yeah.
like what was it? Him leading everybody else in Baltimore, saying that the front stretch was just suicide because they were reaching what 230, sustained 230 for a good like how long was that front stretch in Baltimore? It was like what, almost a mile, close to a
I was gonna
mile.
say it was close to a mile, yeah, and you had manhole covers and you had undulations in the pavement. It was not
Uh,
even. It was
and and railroad tracks.
yes.
And by the time they hit the railroad tracks, most people were doing 205, 210, and it was just, like, can you imagine feeling that through your spine, you know? Because all that energy goes through the weakest part of the car, which is your back. you know?
Mhm.
So, putting that double chicane in to slow everybody down to create one of the greatest crashes I've ever seen. Thanks, IMSA live. And IMSA's race starts. 20 cars piled up right in front of me at the start finish line because of that little chicane. Nobody, because they couldn't fit their big asses through it side by side. And you're just like, I've never seen such a multi-car slow motion crash in my life. It was one of
What's
those crashes where all the cars drove away fine.
it's like that one gif everyone posts, for a race crash where it's like all the cars going into the one corner where they're all bunched up.
Where at?
I forget what race that was.
It
Um,
sounds like Texas.
no, I think
Because
it was a
no,
street circuit.
well, I'm just saying Texas's turn one is insane because that is the tightest turn I have ever raced on iRacing, and I can't imagine 20 Indy cars flying into that turn. I just don't understand, like, who engineered that track. I don't understand, and like
I don't
how
know, but I'll tell you what, it's a
what.
hell of a good time, and Texas is a charming state.
Oh yeah, I did layover in Dallas, and I got in a big fight with my friend I was traveling with in the hotel room because he wouldn't give me his toothpaste.
Well, that's an asshole friend. Also, if you rent a car in Dallas, always get the insurance. The people there drive like fucking assholes.
Mhm.
Um, and I have lived in and driven in New York. I went through the Holland fucking tunnel in the peak of rush hour in a minivan. Okay.
Why? Why?
Dear God.
Why did you want to experience the most high anxiety, frustrating moment of your life?
No, it was just that based on when we were leaving and where we were going, that was just the time that we were going to get there. And it didn't really make sense to put it off because, like, we were leaving after work. And it was like, if you wait too long, someone's going to fall asleep. And so we were like, let's just get on the road. Fuck it. And everybody knew I was going to drive once we got to the city because I was the only one who ever lived in the city. So, but yeah, but Dallas, get the insurance. Those
Yeah,
people are
yeah.
crazy.
About the tunnel, it's a very unnerving feeling sitting in stopped traffic in the middle of a tunnel with, like, like, all this rock and water, a river above you. It's kind of an eerie feeling. I don't know if anybody else has
Yeah.
felt that. It's just like, I want to get out of here. Anyway, okay, so let's move on. So, did we ever pick what driver would be number 3?
I mean, I said New Garden.
Polo.
Newgarden and
Well,
Plo.
but
Yeah, I think that's a good.
see, but here's the deal. I mean, because we know Pelot's got eyes on F1. We know Award's got eyes on F1. McLaughlin's not going to F1. So it's
No.
like
Award is underrated, I think.
Award's totally underrated. And that dude is like literally the fucking Tasmanian devil. He is a
Like
bundle
he
of energy.
almost won the championship 2 years ago. And like I even I was at the championship dinner to interview, the drivers that came, etc.
Oh, that's cool.
And yeah, it was cool. One of the perks of being a local. um and so
And a
I
media hard
happened.
card holder. Come on now.
What'd you say? And what?
And a media hard card holder. I mean, come on now.
Well, that's true. That's true.
You
That
know,
does not
I
hurt.
I mean, come on, isn't the greatest thing in life watching an Indy 500 from the air conditioned room on the other side of the track? Isn't that? It's
Never watched it there. I
well,
would never I would never do that. First off, I would never sit on the inside of an oval that big.
okay.
And
Let me go.
I've seats with my family because I'm a fan first.
Well, oh, how about the GT? And I've seen you in there, so you can stop lying. I'm kidding.
Uh,
I'm joking with you. I'm joking with
Not on
you.
race day. No,
No,
the
you're
first
right. You're
day.
right because I used to look for you on race day. I'm like, where the heck is Abby and Molly? Oh, that's right. You know,
Never in the media center. When they're like, "Do you need a seat?" Absolutely not.
it's always easy to find you with the checkered dress. I mean,
The checker dress. Can't go wrong.
yeah,
Can't go wrong. I'm sorry, I got myself off track there.
Solid point.
I'm really good at
Solid
doing
point.
that. Yep. So, um, oh yeah, the dinner. You
Oh
brought.
yeah, so the dinner. So I speak Spanish, and I recorded this little interaction, but I was listening to Polo and Pato talk, and they wanted to have a private conversation, so they started speaking in Spanish. And so like all the other news people, they're like, "Oh, this is cool." So they're like kind of, well, actually, it took them like 2.5 minutes to figure out what was happening, which made me laugh because I was like, well, I picked up on it right away because I understood what they were saying. But they had a really great conversation, and Pato was just, congratulating Pelot and telling him what a great season he had, and that like he 100% deserved it, and congratulations, and this and that, and he's happy for him, and Pelot comes back and is, I mean, just humble as can be, and he was like, "Hey man, great season." He's like, "Honestly, it could have been either one of us." He's like, "You had a great season." He's like, "You kept me on my toes." He was like, if he's like, if one thing would have gone differently, it would have been you and not me.
Mhm.
And it was just really cool to witness that interaction between the two of them because I feel like Pelot was 100% underrated before that. And
Not to
even
go
though
up
Pato
higher.
came in second, he continues. No, I agree with that.
Yeah, because
But like Pato continues to be underrated, and it's like, man, he's a hell of a driver. Like
I've been
the boy
saying
can
it.
wheel.
I have been singing Powell's crazy praises since 2017.
Oh, I know
Since
you have. I say you
since
turned
Pro
me on to
Mazda.
Pato.
Yeah, since Pro Mazda when he used to jump off his yellow car.
Yep. No, you
I'm
turned
telling
you turned
you,
me on.
I mean, I was lucky enough to be able to hang out with Pato a little bit this last October at Laguna Seca when they had the Velocity Historics, and he got to drive Senna's 1990 F1 car and rip it around Laguna. And
Did he really? Oh my god!
oh my
What a,
God,
what a dream come true, man.
it
Because
was
that,
unbelievable. I
yeah,
mean,
because I know for a fact that Senna is his hero. Yeah.
yeah, and they had a helmet cam with audio in there, and I think Marshall Pruitt actually posted a video of it. But he was like, as he's ripping this car around, and he was full slung. I was standing right there on the wall on the front stretch as he came by, and you could hear him running out every gear and just letting her eat, as we say, as drivers. And he was like, "Fucking a, this is the almost amazing thing." And he's just this ball of energy. He's like literally like the perfect storm to move to F1, even above Polo. And I love Polo, but Award has this just infectious and energy
Yeah.
and
Plus,
talent about
Oh,
him.
plus he's
infectious is the
he
perfect word.
plus he's way more mature above his years. I mean, him
Oh,
what he did to Michael Andretti the first year he came into Indy. I will respect him for the rest of my life because he stuck to his guns. He didn't bow down to, the almighty Andretti. He didn't bow
Mhm.
down to a big old payday that he could have had for 8 races out of, the
yep. He
entire
stuck it
season.
out.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And plus plus he had and after he didn't accept Andretti, the amount of a bitch Andretti acted because of it.
Oh, they were
You
so butthurt.
dude, like
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 someone should have gotten in some
Pat,
preparation H.
Pato no lie had to go into his office and threaten him to release some information that I won't say on here, but it made Michael release him from his contract the very next morning.
Good for him.
Yeah, yeah,
Pato's
and
the real deal, man. He's the
yeah,
real deal.
he really
And
is.
Yeah, and he had that opportunity to get some FP1 time at the end of this F1 season. So he's unfortunately he's going to be I think the next star from IndyCar we're going to lose
Well,
before Colton Herta, before Alex Palou, before any of these other guys. It's going to
I
be
hope
Pato.
I
well,
hope we
see,
don't, because God, he's so good for our sport. And
Paul,
He is.
honestly, like with him being, half Mexican, like we have so many new fans from Mexico and just the rest
Yes.
of Central and South America,
yeah,
because Pato does what most of our bilingual drivers do, and that is he posts in English and then in Spanish. Well, I mean,
Right.
the bilingual
mhm,
drivers in English and then whatever their language is, whatever their primary language is. And like that has built up such a huge fan base.
yeah,
Like I actually had to answer questions for a new fan about a race in Spanish last year. And I was like, this is freaking awesome.
yeah.
Like,
Hmm.
they're here for Pato and, you
Thank God
know,
for Google Translate. That's
don't
all.
even speak English, but they
Yeah.
knew they wanted to come, but they just needed to know, like, how to get to where their seat was. And I'm like, this is awesome.
It really
Right.
is. And that's why I keep saying IndyCar needs to capitalize on this and start, scheduling tracks abroad to bring the sport to these
Hmm.
fans that are supporting the sport, give back to them. I mean, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, that's the one thing
Agree.
that it's the one thing that F1 has over IndyCar is the global reach.
Yeah.
And that's because they travel globally. Now, I'm not saying IndyCar should do that, but I'm saying like at least 3 different markets they should be going. One's Japan, another's, definitely the Latin market, wherever the best place for them is, and the other one is over in Europe, like somewhere like like a Spa or something, so something in the middle of Europe where everybody can come, like like somewhere in France, Belgium-ish, Germany.
I
Boy, would I
mean,
love to see a Nürburgring. God damn, that would be awesome.
Oh my
yeah.
gosh.
I mean, if you look at because they've gone to other countries before. They've gone to Asian
Australia,
countries.
well, the Australia race was a huge race for them for
Hmm.
years,
Oh, I
Yeah.
would
and
100% go.
yeah, I
And
mean that was Will Power's, asterisk pole position because
mhm.
Yep.
whatever, yeah, whatever the official number is, it's not to me.
But like like I think they do need to branch out a bit. I understand wanting to stay centrally American. Um, I would say you definitely need to maybe go to somewhere in Mexico, whether it be as much as I don't want to say it, the Mexican track that F1 goes to in Mexico City.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe
Share a
as
weekend.
and I was gonna say that share a weekend with F1, but then again, the IndyCar fan of me was like, no, why do we have to be second fiddle to F1?
Just
F1
for
is gonna
just
take
for a
over
You
year
know
that
or
what
whole
2.
though?
weekend.
You know
Just
what?
for a year or
We're
2 because
we're
the
not
exposure would be amazing.
the
That's
exposure be
all.
amazing, and I think that F1 would be surprised by how many people went ahead and left a day early.
Yeah,
I know, I mean,
Because like
because after they see
the
that, they're like,
difference in
"Fuck
like a
F1."
1 day versus a whole weekend ticket for that.
hmm
Oh, I'd be like, I'll be here for Saturday, but deuces, bitches, I'm going to the beach
right.
tomorrow.
I mean,
Um,
I just watched a great race. What do I need to sit through this parade for? The only
Again,
the
I
only
don't
fun
like
part
parades of any kind.
the only fun part of an F1 race is the start into turn 1. After that, it's like, whatever.
Well, I mean, after that, like the outcome is pretty much determined unless an engine blows. Did we lose Kevin for good?
I don't know.
no,
I'm trying.
he's rejoining.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
there he is.
Good
Frank
Okay.
deal.
Frank threw at him. But I will like maybe going to like Mexico City. Maybe add Canada Tire Center. I
Yeah,
know
that's another
that
thing.
that
Canada,
track up in Canada would be really nice.
and that would be my third demographic. Canada also deserves
Yeah,
a race.
I
Well,
Even though
no,
80%
well, they
of
should
the pop,
hit Vancouver because we're already over there doing the West Coast, and so
yeah,
what they should do is, because let me, you know what, I just hold on real
because
quick.
I
I
I
just
just
I
had the
know
want
schedule up. But if they
another.
spread out the finale a little bit, which they have done in other years for no good reason, then you'd have time to make sure everything made it through customs and back.
I know
Um,
IMSA goes to Canada Tire Center, so you could
Yeah,
do another Indy IMSA weekend
oh,
like they do at Long
it'd be
Beach.
badass.
yeah, like
Um,
India and IMSA needs to travel together a lot more than what they do because let's face it,
I
the
would love
fan
that.
the fans of IndyCar gravitate towards IMSA, whereas the fans of NASCAR gravitate towards their sisters and dirt racing. You know what I'm saying?
If
So
Mhm.
if
yeah,
IndyCar and
Although a lot of
IMSA,
IndyCar fans also like dirt racing.
I mean a
Well, but I'm
few.
going to tell you though too. I mean, when you talk about IMSA and IndyCar, kind of feeding off of each other. The only place that works is Detroit, and that's the only reason Detroit works is
Yeah,
because IMSA and IndyCar work together. But in terms of Canada, yeah, I mean, I know IMSA runs at Mosport, which is a awesome track. I've raced there myself, but it's like
Mhm.
they don't, to your point earlier about like going back to Vancouver and capitalizing on Portland and that whole West Coast swing down to
Yeah.
Laguna, but they
Yeah,
got to find a better fucking track than the old fucking airport that they ran
here,
in Vancouver back when
Well,
Greg Moore was around.
yeah.
yeah, Kevin,
Yeah.
hear me out. Hear me out. Like Vancouver Airport, sure, yeah, no, but
But what
then
if
we
they
used
made
to
it a
do
street race?
uh uh
Be great to
um
throw another street race in on that West Coast swing because you got two permanent road courses and then throw in that street race.
Yep,
yeah, yeah,
yep.
Vancouver
or
is a beautiful city. That would
it
be
really,
badass. It's a shame I can't get into Canada.
And it's a huge population center too. So I mean,
It is.
you got a massive
but
city there.
well, then
And a
again,
huge destination city that's used to the tourism. And they have cruise ships. It's a cruise port as well. So they're used to handling, you know, you
yep,
got to think there's 5 to 10,000 people per ship.
hmm
So every day that ships are coming in, each ship is 5 to 10,000 people. So that's a city that knows how to host a crowd.
And
honestly,
aside from IMS during the month of May, what are the biggest draws for the IndyCar season? Long Beach, St. Pete.
you know
Hmm.
what? And we have plenty of time in between St. Pete and Barber because it's a whole month
We do.
just aching for another track to be put there.
Ooh, and Texas is early April if anybody wants to go. Like I want to go. It's April 2nd, I believe.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's the third race on the schedule, right? Third.
It
It
is.
St. Pete, Barber, Texas.
No, no. It might be the second race because Barber's not till April 30th.
Oh, okay. Right on.
But you know what? Long Beach might be or no, it's yeah, it's St. Pete, then Texas,
Yeah,
then
Long
Long
Beach is
Beach.
before Indy this year, isn't it?
Long
It's
Beach
always
Yeah.
is
before
always towards
Indy.
the beginning of the year.
Yeah, it's
Is it?
always in
I
April.
I
Yeah, it's
always
always
thought it
like
was towards the
the
end for some reason. I
second
don't
to
know why.
third week, yeah. But
Right on.
yeah, so Texas TMS is April 2nd, which again, hell of a good time. And you can do it very cheap. I stay in the Motel 6, and I'm not too proud to brag about that. They'll leave the light on for you, and they really have revamped their shit. Honestly, you can get a great deal. There's one right across the street from the track. And if you tweet at Ari Lyndike that you're drinking margaritas by the pool and he doesn't realize that you're cheap, he will go down to the pool at his fancy hotel and look for you and then tweet back that he couldn't find you.
Nice.
And we had to be like, oh, we're not at the Hilton, honey. That's cute.
But I will say I wish IndyCar and IMSA would do more weekends together because then this
Yes.
podcast name would make so much more sense.
Hey,
The
I don't mean to cut you off, but a story just dropped on motorsport.com
oh boy,
that Pato Award is claiming after talking to Daniel Ricciardo after 2023, he's going to become an IndyCar.
Ricardo.
Really?
And this is Ricardo telling Pato this. This isn't, some,
Why don't you
you know,
text your friend and find out if that's legit?
Danny Smiles.
Ooh.
well,
And the conspiracy theories abound.
well, I mean, Pato's over in Europe right now because they're fitting him for some seat for something
Well played, Abby.
that they want to test. That McLaren wants to test.
It's a
He's
white Russian kind of night. Too bad we don't still have a lotion. We could make jokes.
let's see, is
JK, we can still make jokes.
yeah, yeah,
Lotion.
but
Lotion is a losh out of IndyCar.
and okay, so what do you guys think about the whole Palau thing of 2022 and how that whole controversy ended? Did anybody see it ending this well? I didn't. I did
Oh,
not see Palau
But
racing.
let's be clear here. This did not end well. This ended politically correctly.
Okay, this ended as well as I could have possibly predicted, which I didn't predict it would end this way.
Oh
So
my god.
and just to refresh me, the end is he's still staying with Ganassi Racing, right?
Yeah.
correct, yes.
One more year.
So
He is signed through September. After September, he can start talking to different teams. He is not allowed to talk to other teams until September.
So
Yeah,
here's the
next
deal.
September.
This
Yeah.
turned out exactly the way that Pelot hoped it would. He flirted with another team. If he does leave to go to F1, he's
Well,
already got that set up with McLaren.
yeah, because
But really, he wanted to extend at Ganassi. Why would you not? They got you a championship.
look,
And McLaren has already hired another IndyCar driver. So I feel like this was just a lot of giving. I feel like it was just haggling in Chinatown.
I mean, bottom line, Pelot got the money he wanted for this upcoming season with Ganassi. He also got paid some sort of a back some sort of a retro pay from the last season that just passed that he felt he was owed. And he is on contract with McLaren to be their alternate driver on weekends that do not
Interfere with IndyCar.
correct. So that just goes to show you he's got a 1-year contract with Ganassi. He got his money. I doubt Ganassi's going to re-sign him after all that, and he's in with McLaren. So yeah, it's pretty obvious that Below is going to be taking over Ricardo's McLaren F1 seat come 2020 or could come 2024.
Well, but hold on, because there's a few other moving parts and all that. Because McLaren's
Yeah.
already signed that Oscar Piastri kid out of F2 for this coming season to replace Ricardo.
No.
So,
Okay. I'm sorry. I didn't mean Ricardo. I meant, in 2024. And for some reason, I thought Ricardo was staying, but he's not. My bad. I'm not really up to F1 news as I am to IndyCar. So,
there. I mean, there's a whole
where's
lot of
Ricardo
moving parts
going?
there.
So, is Ricardo staying with McLaren for this year coming up, or is he
No,
coming?
McLaren.
No,
I
he's
mean,
back with Red Bull.
yeah, McLaren. Ricardo is now back with Red Bull as a reserve driver. So McLaren's
That
got
means
Lando
he's
Norris.
right? I mean,
Well,
if he's
pretty
a
much.
reserve driver, that means he can come to IndyCar and just be reserve driver when it doesn't coincide, just like Pelot's doing, right?
Or like Kevin Magnussen did when he stepped in and tested and raced with
In
Ganassi.
theory, but nobody's going to let him be a step-in driver when he doesn't have any IndyCar experience.
Right.
I mean,
They're
well,
going to have
they
I
let
mean,
Grosjean
honestly,
do it.
they're going to put Max Chilton in a car before they're going to put somebody in any car that's never been in one.
Yeah, but they but they let
And
Grosjean
I
do
mean,
it, right?
Max Chilton's
So-
not a bad driver. He just doesn't bring home W's.
So Ricardo's new job is basically taking over for David Coulthard,
Okay.
where he's going to be traveling around doing demonstrations in F1 cars. Like you see all the promotional videos Red Bull Racing puts out, where it's some old F1 car driving through the streets of whatever city they're going to. Ricardo's going to be doing that stuff to the point there's a news story on drive.com Ricciardo could celebrate his return to Red Bull Racing with his first trip to Mount Panorama behind the wheel of a Formula One car.
Mount Panorama isn't even a track on the schedule.
He will die going down the mountain in an F1 car. He will die.
I mean, what's next for Ricciardo? Is he going to jump in an F1 car and do?
I swear to God, if this is some way that they're being like F1's going to Mount Panorama, I'm done.
There's no way F1's going to Mount Panorama. There's no way.
Of course, there's not. But then you got all these different moving parts. So you got Pelot that's looking like he's Pelot is making.
Pelot's getting everything he wants and a reach around.
And
he's totally getting a reach around, and he's getting dinner and a movie and getting blown in the ear before that all happens to begin with.
Yeah.
So
he's the one sending the "you up" texts.
And
he's the one getting romanced. Like
this poor little dude, this poor little Oscar Piastri dude that's coming out of F2 is basically going to be a placeholder for Alex Pelot when he comes over.
100%.
Well, he's got to pay.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, Kev. Piastri's got to pay his dues first before he gets what all these guys have gone through as well. You know,
that's right. And then you've also got a Ward in the pipeline. But then, as we talk about this whole revolving door kind of scenario, and Pelot likely being gone, and Frank, you and I texted about this earlier today. This whole Schwartzman thing, who Schwartzman's one of the reserve drivers for Ferrari right now, who Ganassi is now testing for a possible seat with Ganassi in 2024.
Yeah.
So it's like Ganassi's already planning on Pelot being gone.
Yeah, there's no way Ganassi. Like the only reason why Ganassi's keeping him is because I didn't just spend a whole bunch of money on this kid for him to just walk and go make somebody else money. He's going to.
It's that he brings home W's, and what a lot of people may not realize about Ganassi is that like Ganassi always caters to their top driver.
Yeah,
and so Dixon is their top driver.
Dixon,
so every car is set up how Dixon likes to drive.
Yep.
It's not set up how you like to drive. It's set up how Dixon likes to drive because every car is giving back data for Dixon.
That was
a lot of Red Bull with Max Verstappen.
Yeah, that's why they're also keeping Pelot is because he obviously drives well with Dixon's setup, and so he's bringing back hella great data for them, and he's bringing back wins.
I will say, whenever I saw on IndyCar's website about the article where Ganassi eyeing Ferrari was like the headline, I'm like, oh, is this the Ferrari powertrain that like has been rumored for 3 years? And I started reading the article. It's like, oh no, they're looking at Ferrari Academy drivers, and I got really bummed out. I got so excited that I'm like, oh, the Ferrari powertrain that's been rumored.
You're like, this is it.
I started reading the article. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. They're talking about Academy drivers. And it crushed my soul.
Broke your heart.
I did.
It was the damn clickbait once again.
Yeah. The one thing did you guys see about the IndyCar iRacing contract ending?
I did, but I didn't have a chance to read the whole thing.
So basically, IndyCar's iRacing contract expires at the end of this year. So
what does that mean?
Basically, iRacing will not be able to use IndyCars anymore at the beginning of the new year.
Hold on.
Oh shit!
Hold the phone. What?
Did you not see this?
No. What?
iRacing's contract with IndyCar is expiring at the end of this year.
And they're not renewing it?
No, because
they're talking about IndyCar being back possibly they're saying
IndyCar's
2023, but likely 2024.
Like literally, I race probably, like in one night I'll do, a good amount of races, and I do them 3 or 4 nights a week.
Right.
And IndyCar fixed oval is about 90% of the races I race. So
let me find the article here.
That's some horse shit.
Because
I've spent thousands on
Okay.
that game over the last 12
I
years.
believe it.
So
My wheel cost $1,500 to begin with.
Right.
Damn.
So at Racer Mags put out a tweet saying this is with this current licensing agreement with IndyCar set to expire at the year's end, there's a chance ahead of IndyCar's representation on iRacing, or there are changes ahead for IndyCar representation on iRacing. Dale Earnhardt Jr. got involved. I don't understand this decision by IndyCar not to continue a decade-long partnership with iRacing. This is such a gut punch to that community. After all, both brands accomplished together, including the past few challenging years. Now,
Matt, it was amazing when when the IR18 was first released. iRacing legit changed from the DW12 to that very same day. It was amazing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like whenever IndyCar makes a change to their car, it's in the car. Like whenever
Well,
Pro Mazda or USF 2000 change their cars, it's immediately changed. The only thing go 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 ahead, Abby. I'm sorry.
no, I'm interrupting you. Finish.
I'm sorry. The only thing I'm saying is the only car that iRacing does not have and has not had, but has had a placeholder for it forever, is the Indy Lights car, and I don't understand it. They've never had that in iRacing, and I really wish they would. But
That'd be cool.
yeah, like because I love the car,
I mean, yeah, because you can race Xfinity or NASCAR, right? Or like Xfinity or Cup.
Yeah, I mean, I could if I just want to, like.
No, I know. I'm just saying, like for comparison, like we should have the option of, or I guess the NXT instead of Indy
Yeah.
Lights. Is it NXT or are we calling it Next?
Oh, it's Matt.
next.
Yeah, Matt. Can you run down the new used to be MRTI switched to RTI?
Actually, real
to
quick, I do want to
RTI.
say that I do agree that it's really stupid of them not to renew because during COVID 2020, etc., when all the drivers were doing the iRaces and all that business, like because
It was
I looked
amazing.
into getting some gear and like early on I was like, okay, maybe I'll buy this. And then the next thing I know, it was like everybody was into it. Shit was sold out. Prices were 5 times as high as they had been. Like
Yep.
there are so many people that are now into iRacing specifically because IndyCar
Yeah.
did these iRaces. Like,
So
and again, it drives me nuts. Like, it drives me nuts when they just shoot themselves in the foot.
So I'll read the official statement from iRacing on the IndyCar license update. Our current license agreement with IndyCar is set to expire December 31st, 2022. IndyCar has signed an exclusive license with another developer that goes into effect on January 1st, 2023. While we are still working on finalizing a new license with IndyCar, it is clear that there will be some noticeable changes to the way we are able to present IndyCar racing in iRacing. Most significantly, we will no longer be able to run an official IndyCar branded series, and there will not be an iRacing Indy 500. You will also see the removal of the IndyCar series logo from our sites. We continue to support the Dallara race cars, and it has all the different car numbers. There will be no changes, unlimited use, and racing in regard to non-IndyCar series at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and other series, NASCAR, IMSA, etc.
So what I mean,
Well,
so that
and
you know what that makes sense because iRacing came out with their own open wheel car that took that took the engine from the 1990s Lolas and the new IR 18 concept and a little bit of an F1 car, and they mashed it together, and it's actually a pretty cool car. But it's not fixed. It's not an oval series, but who knows? Maybe after this, they'll do a lot more with it. It's called the IR for iRacing, IR04, I believe it's called. So, but that because I was wondering why would they make this? They don't need this to have IndyCar, but yeah, okay. And I guarantee you, I know what developer they're talking about. It's a set of Corsa.
oh dear God,
I guarantee it's a set of course of that shitty ass second class sim.
So if you go on to, there is a website, IndyCarGame.com. There is a game coming in 2023. It is officially licensed by IndyCar with collaboration with Motorsport Games.
Oh, you know what, guys?
Wait, so
Yeah, actually, okay. Sorry. It's been a long day. I worked yesterday. I worked today. 12-hour shifts. I've been up since 4:30 in the morning. I actually was in a focus group about this game. It's gonna be really badass.
So it's it's a IndyCar licensed only game, just IndyCar, kind of like NASCAR used to have.
Like
Really?
like the F1 games now.
It's
Oh, so
not exactly, but it's very similar to the F1 games.
is it console or is it computer?
It does not say on the. I'm on the website right now.
I don't recall.
You can sign up to
I'm
receive
very limited
emails.
in what I can say because I wasn't allowed to share.
Oh.
But all of a sudden I was like, wait a second. I was part of a focus group. Yeah, it's
I
gonna be.
believe it will. I mean, knowing how racing games are now, it'll probably be for Xbox, PlayStation, and PC.
Yeah, I'm sure that accessibility. Well, yeah, I'm pretty sure that I mentioned accessibility in it because I was like, not everybody is going to have the money to buy like the whole iRacing setup. Like, are there other options? It's like, okay, you have a Wii, but like you can buy attachments for other things for the stick, but like, it's like, okay,
Right.
can you, yeah. Um, but yeah, no, if they did all the things that they said that they were going to do with this game, it actually should be pretty badass. And they had people who were involved with the F1 game. And I'm trying to think who else was there. It doesn't matter. Anyhow,
Well, I mean,
stay optimistic because from what they told us, it should be pretty fucking cool.
isn't the F1 game on computer as well, or is it just console?
No, it's on both. It's on console and PC.
Right on.
There
See,
should be a feature where you can play while a race is happening.
No shit.
here's the thing I
And
love.
like if somebody goes through a corner and you want to see like if you can do this section of the track or this corner or whatever faster, like you can just like immediately do it and it'll compare your time to like what the driver was doing.
Nice.
If I say that was one of the things that we were told they were working on. So I really hope
Okay.
that works out.
The only problem I have with this is the reason I went to iRacing is because the way they license it and the way they the way they regulate it, right? Because because I was the biggest Forza 4 player, right? But the thing of it is, you could never finish a race because people would either just crash you out because they're assholes, or they would sit at the start finish line on the last lap and crash out the leaders because they're assholes. So it's impossible to not get assholes in racing games on consoles, right? And the reason I went to iRacing is because you need to gain up a certain license amount.
It's like a free dating app versus one you have to pay for. You're just going to get a different caliber of person.
Right, and that's why I love iRacing.
You're going to get people who are serious about their shit and not just there to dick around.
Exactly, because on iRacing, when you race with people, they're there to not want to crash. They're there to have a good time racing, and the racing craft and experience that they have, it lacks in sometimes, but for the most part, the higher license you go, the better racing you get. And I really hope IndyCar adopts that model. But I don't see how they can do that through a console combined computer game. It's almost impossible.
ACC has a similar thing. For those that don't know what ACC is, Assetto Corsa Competizione.
Yeah.
There's a driver rating, and it's notorious. I did ACC for a year and a half, and that driver rating system is it's
impossible.
Think of the grading scale when you were in school.
Mm-hmm.
You screw up one time, it kills your grade, and then it takes you forever to build it back up.
Yeah.
And that is exactly how this driver rating is in that game. So maybe if they did something similar to that, where it's like, and you have to be able to drive next to another driver or in their proximity for so long, you cannot make contact with them. You cannot like
Yeah.
do any like dive bombs. You have to be a professional. You have to be very precise with your movement. And
Well,
if you tap them slightly, it just kills your rating.
yeah, kind of like
Yeah.
if like you're a shitty Uber rider and you get a 1 star, like it's gonna tank and it's gonna take you
Yeah.
forever to yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
Now,
And like,
is that an issue with the F1 game?
No.
Okay, well,
no,
considering
F1's
that
just a free
it's
for all, and
kind
people just
of
bump into each other, and it's like it's just like Forza. It's just a bunch of
okay, so the
assholes
F1
driving.
game is not like regulated in a good way.
No.
You
It's
you
it's
you can get
Gotcha.
literally a free
lucky.
for all.
Yeah, you can either get lucky or you can create like leagues or whatever and join that, but that takes a whole lot of time, and then you got to talk to people, and it's just and that's why I like iRacing. Everything's set time. You know, like if you screw up, you do get stuff taken away, but they don't kill you for it. You know,
Mhm.
um,
Sure.
and it is what it is. You know, like you just can't drive like a douche in it. And I really hope IndyCar does something different. Uh, I mean, I'm happy to see a IndyCar license game, but why couldn't they do both? What was IndyCar really doing for iRacing that took any of IndyCar's time that they couldn't just say, okay, we'll do both here and off you go? Because iRacing did everything. The only thing IndyCar did was give them permission to use their likeness. That's it. Honestly,
Mhm.
like
And to me, that's the big question with IndyCar right now because there's been a lot made of, oh, they're going to expand their marketing budget. They're going to be, revamping the whole, virtual gaming thing. They're going to
Mhm.
be try to do more with, fan interaction. And it also ties in with this whole 100 days to Indy thing. And it's like, you know, it sounds like, and it all sounds great, that they're going to invest all this money in engaging fan interaction and all this other shit without changing any of the on track product, which could include another engine manufacturer that we've been looking at forever, or them stepping on their dicks by delaying this whole fucking hybrid deal, down, kicking the can down the road. But, like with the 100 days to Indy deal, it's like, it's always compared to the, Drive to Survive deal, which is I get it, right? Formula One though, they capitalized. It was like the right product at the right time because when that series first
Oh,
debuted in what was it, 2019? It
it
was
was the equivalent of buying Apple stock or McDonald's stock before it was huge. Like, I mean,
or Amazon stock,
yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. Like, I mean, they literally struck the second the iron was hot. Like
right?
they were starting to strike before it was even hot, and just perfect
And what
timing.
happened? It landed right when the depths of COVID hit, so people were home. They were watching. They were looking for shit to look at.
And as soon as they were
We
done
did
with Tiger King, it was time for Drive to Survive.
That's how I started my podcast, Abby, was because I didn't want to be that guy that said he watched all of fucking Tiger King. But
I
you
I
still
know,
found that
get
I
it.
couldn't watch it sober. Like it was too
Is it
much. So I was
you
like,
is it
all
can't
right,
you
true
can't
or
you literally cannot watch that show sober and get anything out of it.
is
But
Tiger
no.
King true or fake?
is
Oh,
what?
it's true.
Is it all true? Did he really go to jail?
Oh
Mhm.
yeah, he's
Oh
Oh,
still
yeah,
in
yeah, yeah.
jail.
oh yeah, spoilers, everybody. Sorry, uh,
But
but I
it's
mean,
like,
Don't worry,
is a
you're
hundred
literally the last person in America who hasn't seen it.
I've never seen it. Like, did he really kill that chick? Like,
No, no, no,
you're
no,
right,
no. That chick's still alive,
oh,
right.
okay, right.
but
That
So what
he
he,
But
thinks
bitch,
that she
Carol
killed.
Baskins.
He thinks that she killed her
yeah,
husband. Which, for the record, she didn't kill her husband. Her husband fucking dipped, dude. He had all that shit set up in Costa Rica. He was done with her shit, and he left. He faked his death.
I mean, speaking truth right there. But
Just saying.
and yeah, I agree with you. But I mean, 100 Days to Indy, I love the idea, but you're like a day late and a dollar short, man, because you're not going to
Mhm.
be able to capitalize on a COVID bump like Netflix got, which was
It's
more
true.
than a bump.
Oh,
And so it's
it
oh,
was
like
a fucking
yeah,
tidal wave.
I don't know that IndyCar is going to get the same benefit and I don't know how CW is going to do this whole thing. And God bless them. I'm sure they've got the best intentions in mind, but it's like shit, man. At this point, you better really step it up because you don't have that same window, that same
No.
opportunity that Drive
Oh
to
no.
Survive did.
I
For
think
instance, I had a great idea for a shirt,
Mhm.
and I was gonna have Toronto Motorsports do it, and then they ended up being too busy, and then it was like, and my brother-in-law um, works and co-owns a screen printing business, but like it was in the midst of when he was super busy, and it was 2020, and I was gonna have it made in like July, late July / early August, and it was gonna say essential drinker. Because everything was essential worker, and
Yep.
I was like, this is a gold mine, but it was like I just couldn't get it made other than like going online, and by that point the price point's too high and I'm not about that. But
Very,
it's like,
very ironic that
was it a great idea? Is it a great shirt? Absolutely. But if I come out with an essential drinker shirt tomorrow,
nobody's going to
I'm
care.
gonna sell them to like you, my family,
A couple people who think
Molly and
they're
her
funny.
family. Yeah, it's like, yeah,
Yeah,
it's just like, yeah, you missed
it's like those companies that
the window.
it's like those companies that like went all in on those masks that are like different, different patterns or different whatever,
Mhm.
like different messages, and they went all in. Now they're all bankrupt.
Wait, hold on.
Oh
Stand
boy.
by, because I'm pretty sure I have one in my purse. They're not all bankrupt, because I'll tell you what, I have to
Well,
wear a mask at every work as a
Yeah.
nurse, and
you're
so
a
I
nurse,
have.
though.
Well, I know, and they provide me with masks, but honestly, and so when people are like, "Oh, I'm sick of wearing masks," I don't want to hear it. Okay,
You
I'm
still have to
fucking
wear
sick of
one.
wearing masks. Okay, I work
Yeah,
12 and a half hours.
I hear you.
Right.
And so I have KN95s, and they are like they're galaxy print. So one is like orange and pink with like little starburst, and one's like purple and blue, and then one's all like blue and white.
Right
And
on.
then I got Thanksgiving masks, fall / Thanksgiving masks, and then I had Christmas masks that were all Grinch themed.
So what?
Nice.
It looked like the Grinch's mouth, like
It
where.
did not. I looked for those. I couldn't find them though.
Oh, okay.
But
Mm.
then since I work in critical care, like then we thought, because we every day we trial people off of their sedation to see if they're gonna wake up enough to see if we can extubate them because we want to get that tube out as fast as possible,
Sure.
the breathing tube. And so then I kind of thought to myself, when people are waking up from those meds, like it feels a lot like when you wake up after you've like passed out or fainted.
Mhm.
Not like drunk passed out, but like, when you faint or like black out and you wake up, you're kind of disoriented. Like that's how people feel waking up from those meds. And I'm like, yeah, if I had a big creepy grin smile, like I
Yeah.
don't
Oh
think that would go
god.
over well. Like that would be
No.
scary as shit when you're waking up and feel like you're in a dreamlike state, and then I'm over your bed with like a fucking Grinch smile that's this big with yellow teeth. Like, no, nobody wants that.
No, like, oh,
Joker
I
from
Oh.
found the
Batman.
win.
Oh god.
So no, it was like there was like buffalo plaid with like little Grinch faces all over it, and I had a whole assortment. And I'm
I
buying
mean,
more for the wintertime that have snowflakes on them because again, if I have to continue to wear these goddamn things, I'm at least gonna have some fun with
I remember
Um.
when I had to wear 'em. I had a Under Armour mask. It was awesome, nice and padded and everything.
that.
Mhm.
Oh, those were really nice masks, or are
Hmm.
really nice masks. Yeah.
30 bucks, but yeah. Well,
Shit.
Going back to the road to or 100 days of Indy, I will say I think CW has a benefit because there's, for one, it's cable, so you're gonna get you're
Well,
gonna get
and
the people
actually, no,
who still have
no,
cable.
CW's network. You can get it on antenna.
Well, and CW has a free app where most, if not all of their stuff, I haven't been on a CW app in years, but their stuff is uploaded next day for free.
Oh, there you
So
go.
if you're willing to, like I said, I know back when I watched
I'm
shows like
surprised.
Arrow and The Flash and stuff like that, they
I'm
were
surprised CW is not like attached to a different streaming platform by now because the way they
well,
make.
and
Actually, I think it
CW's
is, and I can't remember the network, but it is tied
CW's
to
owned
another
by
network.
Warner Brothers, and so
It,
if it would be anything, it'd be like HBO Max.
maybe
No,
Paramount.
In Indy,
there's
CW is tied
I think it's
to
Paramount
Wish
Plus.
TV.
What is it?
I think in Indy, CW is tied to Wish TV.
It's not tied to that here. It's tied to I think it's tied to NBC here, so that would be Peacock, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Is it
Yeah.
Peacock? That's
Peacock
CW.
has the broadcasting rights.
So that makes sense why it would be CW.
Oh yeah. So I guess okay, maybe I have that messed up,
Yeah.
and it's
So
WTHR instead.
so then basically,
Yeah.
people will be able to get it on demand on CW, watch it on CW, and get it on Peacock on app. So I
Mhm.
mean, I'm happy about it, and like getting back to it, I just hope that they don't manufacture the drama because it doesn't need to be manufactured.
I
Period.
Doesn't need to be done. Like
And
it's
and
the racing is exciting enough. We don't need gimmicks.
Mhm.
exactly, like when's the last time you remember a race that was just boring as hell and you couldn't wait till it was over? I can't remember one. It's like every single race, it's something new, something different, something
Yeah,
that's
no, I mean I can remember one, but it was a NASCAR race.
no, I'm talking about IndyCar. Yeah,
Yeah, I
sorry.
know. I know. I'm like yeah, I fell asleep for like a little bit, but it was not IndyCar. Like,
I mean,
well,
NASCAR fans
the
rave
only
about
okay.
Talladega. It's the most boring thing I've ever seen. It's like, oh, look at him go 205. Oh
I know.
shit.
Well, you know what? I will say there was one Long Beach when Rossi was like so far ahead of the field that it was ridiculous. Like it was one of those where like obviously I didn't leave early because I'm not an animal. You don't leave before the race is over. Like,
Yeah, but I mean, like in IndyCar, even if we have a guy
but even
that's way
there,
out front,
there was still so much else happening behind that. It's like, okay, you're gonna
exactly.
win, we know that. But there's so much else that's exciting and matters beyond just first
Yep.
place.
And plus
And
we have the best announcer in the game. Come on now.
oh,
If we ever lose Lee Diffie, we're in trouble. that that guy can make a like pumpkin contest amazing. I swear.
on the streets of St. Pete.
Yep.
I'm Lee Diffie. So there were a couple races, not this past year, but the year before in 2021, where Lee Diffie mentioned a lot of people's sisters. And so he was like, Jack Harvey, and he's back from visiting his family and his sister. It's like,
It,
okay. And then like somebody else, and he was like, so and so, and they're here with their sister. And like and anyhow, it happened like 3 or 4 times in the same race. And so of
like,
course Molly and I are texting about it. We're like, what is with Lee Dippy and talking about people's sisters? And then Molly says, I'm Lee Diffie and I'm here to fuck your sister.
there's your family, but the most important part is your sister.
Jack Harvey went home to see his family and his sister. I'm Lee Harvey. Or I'm Lee Diffie
I
on the
fell down.
streets of St. Pete
Ye-
to fuck your sister.
Speaking of Jack Harvey, you know that big hill at Mid Ohio at the at the keyhole.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
I fell down that whole hill in front of him and uh RC Anderson's dad.
Well, at least you know Anderson's dad.
He's a nut, man.
Oh, that's hilarious.
He's in love with Missy. Every time he sees us, he's like, "Come on, get in the golf cart." I'm like, "We had stuff to do. It doesn't matter." 4 hours later, it's like, I don't. What are you doing, man? But it was cool when RC Anderson took his first lap at Mid Ohio. Remember that? Back
Oh
in
yes, I do
yeah,
remember that.
I was with his dad at one of the turns, and he was like the man was in tears. Like I was like, I was like, this is an awesome moment that I'm sharing here right here. Like he gets to see his son race in his first IndyCar race, and the guy was a he was losing it, but you know, you know, but yeah, like to ever see Neil Anderson lose it like that, but
I love it.
yeah, love that guy. He's been involved in so much behind the scenes in IndyCar and like Indy Lights. It's insane, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, he owns most of the chassis to begin with. So, and,
Yeah.
I mean, he owns I mean, Skip Barber's coming back, but they're nothing like they were, right? And the
No,
other one is what I forget what they call the other racing school that that shuttles
the
drivers. What?
the Lucas Oil School.
Yeah, he owns that. Yeah, Lucas Oil
Yeah.
School. Yeah. So, well, so is there any race that you guys recall back in 2022 that jumps out of your radio right away that you would say was the best race of the year? Was Matt? Matt? Matt, how about you?
Let me pull up the schedule.
Oh, okay. While Matt's doing that, anybody else have one just comes right to their mind?
Yeah, Nashville for me stands out with how tight it was and like willpower, like we've talked about. I mean, just full send.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, there's always carnage at Nashville, and it's not going to change for 2023. And so, I mean, to me, that's just it's like the Saturday night short track on a road course.
yeah, yeah. Tell me about it. And it was the one track when we were talking to him before almost 2 years ago, come February, when he was on. He was talking about Nashville. That's the one track he's the most worried about because it's just going to be a crash fest since it's so narrow. He was saying, and he nailed that. He also nailed that Palou was going to win the championship. He called it in February of that year. He
I
said that.
called it in January of that year for the record.
Well, yeah, off air, Will told me he got it from you, but you know,
I'm sure he didn't. But I will say I called it on our podcast.
yeah, and he did say that Palou is going to be the most like sleeper driver out there, like one of the best drivers out there. He also was talking about Pato a lot. How
I love
it,
Will, by the way. He's
isn't
just
he
awesome.
awesome? Yeah,
He
yeah.
just is. Like, he's just a great guy.
Yeah, he was just chilling on the couch talking to us for an hour and a half, and then he had to apologize to somebody who's much bigger than us that he missed their interview because he went way too long with us.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. I remember sitting in on that one with Jared, and
Oh yeah,
Jared kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
Jared kind of got
Oh
some
no,
shit
no,
from the
that was
Penske PR guys.
that was the second Will interview that you guys did, and I wasn't able to make it because I was at work. But I was talking about the first one the year before. I was so upset that I missed that interview too because it was just what a rough
He's like,
what a rough year this has been. You have no idea. I'm doing so much better than I have this entire year. Thank God.
Kevin, is there one that sticks out for you?
What's that?
well, like I said, man, I think it was Nashville. I mean,
Yeah.
Indy is always interesting, and certainly I had been going there since I was probably 10 years old, and I would have never picked Marcus Ericsson to win this past
Oh
year.
my God. I,
Uh,
Never
spec-
in a
I
million years.
specifically, my brother in law was like, I'm just going to bet on everybody. And I was like, you don't need to bet on him.
Yeah,
On
right.
Marcus Ericsson.
Yeah. And then he won. And by the way, I still haven't lived that down. Uh,
Same.
So,
yeah. I was like, no way.
Abby, is there a race you can think of?
Honestly, I feel like the Indy GP is always an underrated race. And so I always enjoy that race. But St. Pete is
yes.
St.
Yeah.
Pete was a really great race this year.
I
I mean,
mean,
and I feel like it is every year. It's one of those street courses, one of those tracks that just never really disappoints.
Right.
Scott McLaughlin earned that win, didn't he? With
Oh,
that
hell
was some,
yeah, he
that
did.
was some amazing
Yeah.
1,000%.
No,
Thousand
he
percent.
yeah, a lot of racecraft there. And then also I was at both Iowa races, which I have a love-hate with Iowa. I love watching Iowa. It's so hard for me to watch it in person because, like, my stomach's in my throat because I'm like, I don't know that we should be on a track this small. But then on TV, it's badass. And so at some point, when my anxiety gets too much of me, I'm like, well,
Yeah, but
anxiety slash the sun. I'm like, I'm gonna go in other stands, and then I just pulled up on my phone, and then I'm like, all right, I can hear it, I can look out and see it.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah,
Didn't
Iowa
Marco
also.
Andretti say the same thing?
Please don't. Like that was kind of hateful, Kevin. I was like, that was pretty mean. We don't even know each other that well. Or to compare me to Marco. God.
No,
Oh,
no, I'm just saying Marco
Wasn't that his
can't.
last win though? Was Iowa?
what
That's
happened?
I
the
believe
last
his
time I
last
remember.
win was Iowa.
I also
Oh,
remember
against
Marco
yeah.
pulling off and just not being able to have any clue as to what happened as to why he stopped.
I'll I'll
Yeah.
say this much. Iowa race 2 was the most surprising race I seen this year because Newgarden should have won that, and that was the flukiest thing I ever seen. That
That was wild. That was
that
wild.
that that situation right there won Will his championship because if Newgarden won that race, Will I don't think Will would have won the championship.
No, it would yeah. It could have changed all kinds of things. So
So,
yeah, I think those are mine.
Um,
now that I've had time to look at the schedule, I think the race that stands out most to me would be Iowa 1
Mm.
because just to see how much High V brought to IndyCar
Oh.
would just like I
We
just
went to a
remember.
Hy-Vee on purpose while we were out there, and
Mhm,
I bought 2 different shirts because
yeah,
not only did they like bring all that sponsorship money, and then
mhm,
at the grocery store, like the shirts were $5 and they
yeah,
were great shirts. One just said, "You don't know Jack." It was red with white letters, "You don't know Jack." And the
nice.
other one was gray on gray, and it was like a light heather gray shirt, and then in dark gray, it had like a sketch of an Indy car.
Mhm,
And it said Hy-Vee IndyCar. And when you got in the sun, the like screen printed part actually got a little darker and stood out more.
no, that's cool.
nice.
Oh, that is
Yeah.
cool.
So it had like a little color change too. And I was like,
I
okay,
would,
for $5, are you kidding me?
that's
Right,
Like
awesome.
kudos. Yeah. So yeah,
but
totally agree. Hy-Vee went all
I
in.
mean, you look at the sponsorship, you look at what they brought. They had like pop up, suites and all this
Yeah.
other, and then you look at the race, and you know to be at an oval that small was kind of interesting. And the one instance that pops out in my like or just keeps playing in my head is Jimmy Johnson passing 5 cars in one corner as
Mm.
he just like went to that middle line and stuck it into one of the corners and passed like 5 cars in one corner.
Honestly, like that was a sight to be seen. I am the first person. I have not hidden the
I
fact that I was so tired of hearing his name.
I
Like
can't stand him.
I have never seen mediocrity celebrated
Mhm.
in
Who's this?
that way in my
Jimmy
Who?
life,
Johnson.
Jimmy
Oh,
Johnson.
yeah. I mean
But
I mean,
once he started doing ovals, which he's good at, I
Oh
was
yeah.
like, all right, bring
this is
some game. Like, yeah, do something. Do something that makes me respect you. I'm here for that.
Minus the fact that he crashed at Indy.
Yeah, we're talking
Well,
Iowa here.
yeah, I mean, like, honestly,
I
like,
mean, Joey
I'm
New's just the bet at Indy every time, and he has 2 championships. So
I mean,
Get
I'm,
you.
like, I'm not I'm happy what he did for the sport, and I'm glad he retired to give up another seat for somebody much, much better.
agree. And you know what? Honestly, I am very happy for what he did to the sport. And actually, I will tell you that a friend of mine has a son who is about to be 15, and he's been a lifelong NASCAR fan. Now, what's funny is that dad's a NASCAR fan, mom's an IndyCar fan. Dad's a
Mhm.
Purdue fan, mom's an IU fan. So he's been a NASCAR fan for his whole life. Well,
Right.
then I start the podcast, and since I know him, he starts to listen. Well, then and he's like, just not really interested in IndyCar, but thinks it's cool that he knows somebody that has a podcast.
Yeah.
And and then Jimmy Johnson crosses over. Now he wasn't a Jimmy Johnson like huge fan, but
Mhm.
it was enough to make him like watch more IndyCar races.
Yeah.
And so over the course of the last 2.5 years, a week and a half ago, I get a text from my friend Sherry, and she's like, "So Jay tells me today that he thinks he's gonna start getting into IndyCar."
Yep.
Nice.
And I just sent back, "Well, it's about GD time." And she goes, "Honestly, it's a Christmas miracle. All I need to hear next is produce sucks ass, and I can die happy."
Nice.
and
But
and like and like
but
that's why
yeah, but it was that crossover. Even though he wasn't a Johnson fan,
Mhm.
he still wanted to see how he would do. Like, okay, how would a NASCAR guy do? Like, I'm curious.
yeah, and all we need is their eyes on the screen, and they'll realize what they're missing out on, and that's all that matters.
Well,
Right.
and God love him, but that is the true intrinsic value of Jimmy Johnson is that he brought more eyes on the IndyCar series.
Yeah,
Yep.
and that's why Romain Grosjean coming here is great, because he's bringing eyes from Europe
Mm-hmm.
over here, and there's more people from Europe who are constantly DMing me, asking me different questions and everything about
Mhm.
during race season on, and it's great. It really is. Um, is it okay? So Matt picked Iowa.
Yeah.
Overall, Abby, you picked Iowa too.
So I said Iowa, and then also the IndyCar Grand Prix, the road course race in May,
Road co-
Right
Okay.
on. And
specifically the one in May.
Kevin picked Nashville.
Nashville, right on. I'm gonna pick Mid Ohio because
Oh yeah,
that was an
good
amazing.
one. Oh, that was a great race.
Mhm.
I mean, Will coming from what was it like last to third or something like that? Like
Shit, yeah, I
you
forgot
don't
that was the race he did that.
you don't do that on Mid Ohio. It's not
Again,
that it's
like black and white statistics, most versatile, most adaptable.
yeah, and it was just a great race to watch. It was a lot of fun. I mean,
Mhm.
Mid
That
Ohio
was
produced.
a
Oh,
very fun race.
The
yeah,
McLaughlin win.
and McLaughlin wins. Will goes from last to third. Rossi and Grosjean are going at it like two
Oh,
schoolgirls. I mean,
yep.
there was
Oh,
There was
so much.
so much
It
action in the keyhole. God, I
he
love
hit.
sitting at the keyhole.
Didn't Grosjean hit like Herta and Rossi?
Yeah.
well,
Yeah, there
'Cause
was
I
a.
think
Oh
he
yeah,
hit
because
like
that
both
was
of
well,
the
them.
race.
rewatching it,
That was
Rossi
the
hit
race that we all
Grosjean first.
laughed.
Yeah.
Like they were all told, like, do not go, blah blah blah. Come immediately to the hauler.
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
they
Yep.
just all got their asses fucking ripped.
Yeah. They
And
did.
then we made jokes about how like DeFrancesco, even though he didn't do anything worth talking about, like went in that meeting like, well, I might suck a lot, but I didn't fucking hit any of my teammates today.
Not
That was
I was
the
like,
that
he's
was the
going in
one
as the most
race,
confident
right?
motherfucker in the room. He's
that
like,
was the one race where DeFrancesco actually kind of held the trump card out of all that shit, even
right?
though he's a
He
moving
goes in,
chicane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
oh,
Remember
literally,
Texas?
Yeah.
literally.
Yeah. And I gotta
Defense.
say, I mean, that Mid Ohio race, and I had said it from before last season started. That whole narrative that Will Power had about how he's kind of like reprogrammed himself, and he was going to be like this
Yeah,
calmer, more rational willpower. And Jared and I had that conversation with him when we got a chance to talk to him during the course of the season. That was a willpower that we had not ever seen before, where he was stuck in the back and he methodically and patiently, very unwillpower like in the past, made his way back up to a big points finishing weekend, and he wasn't fired up. He wasn't flipping the cameras off. He wasn't bitching out the officials or his team. I was like, this is this is the new willpower right here. And this is the guy that leads me to think that he's got a real legit shot at taking his second championship.
Oh, yeah,
Mhm.
definitely.
yep.
Yeah, I mean, and he's still got a good what? Like, I mean, if Scott Dixon has a good 3-4 years left on him, Will's got a good 5 or 6 easily.
I will tell you, in my opinion, as a driver myself, that willpower is the new Scott Dixon.
Yeah, I
I
definitely
again,
agree.
I don't feel like he's the new Scott Dixon. I feel like they're on equal levels. Like I said earlier, I feel like they're the Mario and AJ of our time.
Yep,
Fair
yep.
point.
I
Yeah,
mean,
Fair
because
point.
if anything, actually, I think Will's a little bit older than Scott. Maybe by like a year or two. Because I'm pretty sure I'm closer in age to Dixie than I am to Power.
yeah,
Um,
and like even for their age, they they still are doing just fine. So I don't see
yeah,
them slowing down at all. I don't see them slowing
Agreed.
down.
but
I
yeah,
mean,
maybe like a year age difference between them, like 1, 2 max. I feel like. Obviously, we all have phones. We could look that up, but I'm not looking it up. I don't care that much.
so so
If somebody's out there and knows the answer, awesome. Let me know.
so we'll wrap this up with everybody's thoughts on the 2002 season and if this season
Well,
coming
the
up.
2002 season had a really controversial Indy 500, so we might want to stick to the 2023 season.
True. Do you remember any other season before 2022 that you thought might have been better as far as drama on the track and the way everything shook out and just
2019,
yeah,
yeah,
2019, yeah, 2019 will yeah. I
2019 might be my favorite year of IndyCar.
Yeah,
A-
I gotta agree with you on that.
Abby, I can name more tracks you and I weren't at together than we were.
Or
2019.
or no, fewer. Like it's
Yeah,
easier to name the
yeah,
tracks we weren't at than it's
yeah.
yeah, I think Molly and I made it to like 11 or 12 out of 17 races that year.
Same here. Yeah, we
Well,
made it.
and my boy won the 500, so it was perfect because the day of the race, the first tears I cried, it was me literally walking onto the grid at 5 or at 6:11 a.m. and I get a text from my sister to tell me that my nephew, her youngest, had just been born.
Oh,
And
that's
I get
awesome.
a
Oh, nice.
photo. And so I'm like on the grid, instantly start crying. And I'm like, Jameson's here. Da, da, da. And so, Molly and I high five and hug and whatever. And then we go and do our thing. And I happen to be drinking like Dean's milk, 2%. And I walked by Pagano's garage. And of course, he's my favorite driver. And so I hold the milk out and take a picture of his front wing, and I was like foreshadowing question mark. And so
And then he
and then
streamed
we all know
the
it. And
entire
then
month.
I knew, just like I knew he was gonna get pulled. Like I knew in my gut. And so I
Mhm.
always say that was a great day because the first tears of the day were because my nephew was born, and the last tears of the day were because my favorite driver won the 500.
That's awesome. It's always good to be there too, and it's always good to like it. Yeah, it's almost like you're celebrating it with them and not just watching it, celebrating yourself. That's what's
Right?
good
It's
about it.
cool. Oh, and that was the year that we went to Iowa, and it was like heat index of 105, 107 every day, and then we had a fucking tornado roll through.
Yeah,
And we lost a tent, I lost a camera. We lost a lot of things.
I remember that. I never wanted to leave the media center because it was so freaking hot. Good God, it was hot.
Funny story about how hot it was. We had gone over for practices, but like you're sitting directly in the sun, and so somebody created a hotspot on their phone. We flipped up my laptop and we watched quals from under our canopy with this like giant metal industrial fan that you would like see in a factory
Yeah,
just
yeah.
blowing on all of us because we were like, we could go and sit in the sun with no breeze, or we could stay here in the shade.
I yeah, like Missy and I were at the hotel and we're like, I can't believe they're camping in this.
Oh, never again. Every time Molly and I have had a bad experience camping, it's been for a Saturday night race. So that's the rule, is that I don't camp for Saturday night races, period.
There you go. So 2019, Matt, 2019, or you think 2022 trumped it?
No, I don't think 2022 trumped it. I think 2022 had its highs and lows. I do think towards the end of the season, watching the points battle got interesting.
Very interesting, yeah.
Oh yeah,
You at one point, we had like 6 drivers that were all in contention for the
Yeah.
championship. So seeing stuff like that was really cool. Yeah, you anytime there's a clear like runaway winner, I'm like, well, this isn't fun
It's kind
anymore.
of disappointing, yeah.
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 And just to see towards the end there was so many riders, like MotoGP, it was between two riders going down to the championship, and it was like, okay, this is kind of cool to see them going back and forth. When you've got 6
Yeah,
people all fighting for the same championship, it's like,
and from
holy
different
shit!
teams,
Like,
right?
yeah, and
That's
like
big
you're
news.
looking at every person, you're like, okay, well, maybe Will Power wins. Maybe Scott Dixon, he's always
Mhm.
hard, and then you're like, but Pato Award's only like is so many points back, and
Yeah,
if he hauls off a couple wins, he could be, winning this thing.
yeah, and then throwing Felix Rosenquist driving for his
Mhm.
life, which he did, and he saved his life somehow.
Well, and Erickson,
Oh
who
yeah.
again 100% underrated because none of us thought he was going to win the 500. I say 2 of us admitted to actively telling people not to bet or actively not betting on him.
Mhm.
But he's like wins races here and there, and I mean, he and Rosenquist, they're sneaky Swedes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean,
I mean, like,
he told me himself that like as soon as they're born, they are given pieces of wood and they have to put together a piece of furniture. Like that's just how life is in Sweden.
yeah,
So their brains just work differently.
I mean,
That's
like,
right, because
That was
they're
a joke. Nobody laughed. I'm sorry. He really
no,
did say that
they're
though. He
all
really did say
descendants
that, and
of
it was
the
funny as
he
hell.
really did say
they're
that.
all
Yeah. Well, we asked. We were like, so do you have to like put together a piece of like IKEA furniture when you're born? And he was like, oh yeah,
well,
for everything major. He was like driver's license, this. He was like a high school graduation. It just we have to build different things every time.
That's
that's right.
funny.
They're all stakeholders in IKEA for sure.
Exactly.
But the other part but I will say about 2022 is how cool it was at the finale at Laguna Seca to see Will Power break Mario's pole record and
Yeah,
the reverence that Will gave to Mario and Mario having been there, being able to kind of do an quote unquote exhibition run in the McLaren and being present as part of the Andretti family and the whole deal. And Mario's respect for Will breaking that record, you
Mhm.
know, it just goes to show what a class act Mario is, regardless of what you may or may not think about the Andretti family and the reverence that Will gave
Sure.
to that whole record.
oh, it's just
But
beautiful.
to
It's
be able
just
to
like,
be there and witness that and see that nearly improbable record be broken was pretty incredible. So that was kind of a highlight on the 2022 season for sure to
And
me.
yeah,
remind me which race was that he broke that record?
Laguna, the finale.
yeah,
Okay.
last
I
race
was
of
like,
the
I was
season.
trying to. Sorry.
Yeah, I
Again,
mean,
I've been up
yeah,
for a long
and
time, but
yeah,
I will
like
say
what Will said, what Mario said, it was just, two class acts, just
yeah,
Hundred
basically,
percent.
yeah,
class
it,
act.
and that's what's great about IndyCar is the tradition that's involved in it, and it's just ingrained into it, it's inbred into it, and
And
Absolutely.
I feel
no other
like
sport has it.
no, and I feel like there are other series that yeah, former drivers come around, but like they come around big dog in it. They're in a suite. They're hanging out, they're partying, they're with elites, they're whatever. Like when our former drivers come around, you know where you see them? You see them in the pits, you see them in the garages, and you know where
Mhm.
else? You see them on the mounds. You see them
Yeah,
in GA
Yep.
yeah,
because at the end of the day, they're still just race fans.
exactly, exactly.
And I don't know. You don't get that from every series. It's just one of the things that I just
Yeah,
love about IndyCar.
Damn
like
sure don't get it in an F1.
Mario can walk
No.
around, and the fans respect him enough to not flock him. They're just happy to
Right?
be there.
They're like, "Oh, no, it's like he's obviously on his way doing something," and
Yeah,
yeah,
Mhm.
it's like all of our legends, they come back, and it's not to sign autographs and to project,
yep,
how big they were. They come back because they wanna mentor young drivers
yeah.
because they want to invest in the future of the sport that they love.
I
They
Mhm.
just
mean,
want it to just continue to be better.
the names don't end. Rick Mears, I
Oh,
mean,
Rick Mears, yeah, he's
yeah,
all around. Dario,
yeah, exactly.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Dario has never left, even when he retires, he's never left, and
nope,
that's
never
He
did.
hasn't.
yeah,
Little Al,
yeah,
um,
my hero right there. Yeah,
oh, I love him.
I gotta tell you, I grew up, I grew up about 20 minutes from State Fair Park in Milwaukee. And I met Mario as a little kid for the first time when I was probably 5 and didn't
Mhm.
know shit about who they
Yeah.
were or who I was talking to.
Right.
And as a little kid, whether it's any kind of professional athlete or, celebrity of any kind, it's like you're so intimidated to talk to him. But it wasn't until this October that I actually had a first interaction where I actually had even any semblance of a conversation with Mario, and let alone then got to interview him during that weekend. But 50 some years later, I finally, because I didn't want to be that guy that swarmed him or swarmed one of our heroes, because we knew that they were busy and they were too big, for anybody to be able to actually have that interaction. And
Mhm.
for me personally, that was a big highlight of 2022 for me anyway.
That's
That's
awesome, man.
awesome. That really is awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, because
Molly,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
yeah, and I'm sorry for
Mhm.
interrupting.
No, no.
My meds have worn off, but it is something that I'm trying to work on. So feel free to call me out when I interrupt and be like, Abby, because I am trying to get better about it.
No, it's
Uh,
okay.
but Molly, little flirt that she is, on one of the practice days for the 500, maybe 3 years ago, Mario's walking down Gasoline Alley, heading to the pits, and Molly stands up and she was like, Mario, Mario. And he turns and she's waving, and he turns and looks at her and he goes,
Yep. The big kiss. Yep.
I was like,
That,
look, I was like, you hussy.
that's so funny, Abby, that you say that, because the Saturday that I was there at Laguna for the Velocity Historics, when McLaren brought their historical collection out, and they had Senna's car and they had Prost's car out and
Mhm.
all that stuff. That was the first time I really kind of interacted with Mario, and I was telling my wife Missy about it, and she's like, Mario's a stud. I mean, he's 82 and he's still driving the two-seater. He's doing all this stuff. So when I actually had a moment with Mario in the garages on the Saturday that weekend, I told him, I said, Mario, my I just want to tell you, I said, my wife said you're a stud. So thank you very much for creating an impossibly high standard for me. But then and the next day, I wound up again out of blind luck and good fortune. I got to interview Mario and Zach Brown and Pato and Tanner Faust and Mika Hakkinen, and I just thought it would be a funny moment, but I recounted that story for that group of guys in front of a group that McLaren had invited. So I repeated that story to Mario, and in classic Mario fashion, he turns to me and goes, "I'd like to meet your wife."
Ah,
That's so good of
again,
Mario.
oh, just
Yeah, like
chef's kiss.
Yeah,
He's just
yeah,
yeah,
he's
it
perfect.
was awesome. It was awesome.
yeah,
He's
yeah,
like
and
IndyCar's grandpa. It's like
yeah,
he's
Yeah,
Yeah.
all of our grandpa, you
yeah,
know?
yep, yep.
And I feel like
absolutely.
that's the reverence that everybody gives him, aside from the fact that he was a certifiable and is a certifiable badass. I mean, hell, the guy still drives two-seaters.
Yeah,
Molly and
still.
I
Mhm.
always laugh because he goes out there and definitely drives it faster than they tell him he's allowed to, because he
Well,
damn near laps the field. Like, you'll be
I
like,
know.
all right, there goes a two-seater, and you're like, pace car, all right, field, 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 waiting out, waiting out, waiting out, wait. Pace car.
He does beat the balls off of it.
Yeah, it's like, or
He
yeah,
does.
Mario, and then pace car. And then by about the third, it's like, you're like, waiting, pace car, field, 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 Mario. Okay, all right, we made up a lot of ground there.
well, and
Exactly.
one of the things with Mario is he he's almost the face of the sport, even after he's been out of it for so long.
He's such a fantastic
Like,
ambassador for our sport.
and you get you get drivers, like uh Dixon and Power, and who have been the faces of the sport in recent years. But when you talk IndyCar to somebody, even after so many years, so how many decades, it's still, oh, IndyCar. Oh yeah, Mario Andretti.
No,
Or
it
AJ
goes.
Foy.
No, it goes. Yeah, I'm. I do a podcast for IndyCar or IndyCar media. IndyCar. What you mean, like NASCAR? Like no, like
You're like, no,
you-
no, no. Like we
and
go
then
fast.
and then it goes, and then you go
No,
like
we
the
go
Indy
faster.
500, like the Indy 500. They go, oh, like Mario Andretti. That's how it
Yeah.
always goes.
Yeah, I
See,
mean,
I don't know. Maybe it's a regional thing because you guys are East Coast and Mario was East Coast. But like AJ was from Texas, but like that's I'm Midwest, and so for
mhm.
me, like, well, so I'm a brat, and I hate to share my name. My name's Abby, and so when I was a travel nurse, if I went to a hospital and there was already another Abby on the unit, I wouldn't go by Abby because I don't like to be called Abby M. I don't know why, it just annoys me. So I would go by AJ. And I mean, at least once a week when I would introduce myself to a patient and say, hi, I'm AJ, they would go, as in Foyt.
Nice.
Nice.
And I'd say, well, you would think that when I'm driving here to work.
But, like,
It's one thing
there's
I've never been confused for a like nobody's ever said my name and then said a famous race car driver. So that it's a good idea, Abby.
but like there's only once in a lifetime or once in a generation, whatever you want to call it, athletes or drivers, riders who when you talk about a sport, they're the first name to come up. It's like Mario Andretti, Valentino Rossi,
AJ Foyt,
Foyt, Dale Earnhardt,
Michael Schumacher,
Schumacher.
Sure,
Nowadays,
Michael
it's
Jordan.
Hamilton.
Michael Jordan, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
To think about, like,
yeah, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, like there's just
You have certain
Babe
very
Ruth.
few, that transcend life, not just sport, but life.
yeah.
Yes. And it's like, and
Yeah.
they transcend it so much that you don't ever even have the conversation of who do you think would win if they race this person then? Because it's like there's no we're not questioning. Like
Right.
we're not questioning where they're at. Like, nah.
Right.
A
He-
goat is a goat.
Yeah,
Period.
he is the GOAT, hands
He
down.
is the GOAT.
All right, guys. Abby, I really want to thank you for coming on tonight. Abby, fast
Aw.
cars, fast girls.
Frank, thank you so much. I know it's been a while. I'm glad I was able to join tonight. It's been a while since I've been able to come on, so glad it worked out.
Yep.
Yeah, it's been a great time, Matt. Very nice to meet you, Kevin. Good to see you again. Happy holidays to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Merry
Whatever
Christmas,
your
Happy New
holidays
Year.
may be. I will
All that
say
good stuff.
I was driving to my mom's to return her car because she was super nice and got my tires replaced for me today. Shout out at Cooper Tires. I got 4 new Cooper tires just in the nick of time for the snowstorm.
There you go.
So shout
Good
out to
brand
them.
loyalty.
Well, exactly. They support the road to Indy, so can't be mad at that. Can't be mad at that. Authority. Oh no, I got distracted. Oh, so anyhow, but yeah, driving down the road, and some of our neighbors were celebrating Hanukkah and have awesome lights out for the Festival of Lights. So whatever
Nice.
holiday you're celebrating, please enjoy it. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, all that business. Happy New Year,
Mhm.
and happy flamingos and palm trees. Most importantly.
Just be safe
Nice.
tonight.
Nice.
And Kevin, where can they find your quickly growing podcast that's had some really great guests on lately, man? Congratulations.
Well, thank you for saying that, Frank. I appreciate it, and I really appreciate you bringing me on to the ISCP, man. This is a great show, and I'm glad to be a part of it. And my show, the Seventh Year Overhead Podcast, we've just hit a couple of big milestones. We just we're over 4,500 downloads. We just wrapped up our 3rd season. We had a 2-hour interview with Lynn St. James to wrap up the show, and now in early 2023, we're talking about a Daytona 24-hour preview. But we've already got the one and only Willie T. Ribbs booked to come on. It's probably our first show of next year. We've also got Randy Lanier coming on. We've got Aria Leyendijk scheduled to come on, as well as 5-time and current NHRA Pro Stock champion Erica Enders coming on. So we got a
Talk
lot of
dirty to
things.
me, Kevin.
We
That's
got
awesome.
a lot of cool shit coming on. We're going to do some stuff that Frank's kind of helped inspire me, as well as Jared has to to help keep this thing going. And I know Frank and you and I have talked a little bit offline about some possibilities, but 2023 and season 4, the 7th Gear Over Rev podcast is looking pretty good. So thanks for bringing me on, and thanks for the support. And it is great to catch up with you, Abby. Once again, I look forward to doing more with you, since you and I are in almost the same zip code.
Heck
And
yeah.
Matt, you as well, brother. So Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, everybody, and I hope to be back with you guys very, very soon. So thanks very much, Frank. Appreciate it, man.
Oh, thanks for coming on, guys. Really, and I would say that the next show will be the Daytona 24. Probably, maybe some preview and review. We
Can't
usually do,
wait.
and we usually do something during the 24. Like every 6 hours, we'll do like a quick 15-minute,
Mhm.
Love
um,
it. Love it.
recap to catch anybody up who's missed it and wants to jump in and watch it. So we usually do that every year.
That's
So
one event each year where my wife knows I will be at the house for
You're
24 hours.
unavailable.
Yep.
Yes.
You're like, I am physically present,
Yep.
but
Even
I'm not capable of doing anything other than watch
th-
this race.
there's been in recent years with streaming that it's become so much easier because like we'll go grocery shopping and I'm basically like pushing a shopping cart looking down at my phone as she's not like holding the front of it navigating me because I'm staring at the phone for 24
Right.
hours.
You're basically like a kid on a leash.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, and let's just
I mean,
point
no
out that
judgment.
let's just point out that
Great system.
there's going to be a ton of IndyCar drivers that will be sharing the seats with ex
Mhm.
IndyCar drivers like Tristan Vautier and a lot of others that have been behind the seat of our favorite cars. Being
Yep.
shared by the current drivers of our favorite series. So it's definitely a race to watch, and look out for your favorite drivers, because you never know where you're going to see drivers that you recognize and all that good stuff. Plus, IMSA has a lot of great drivers to begin with, so
Yes.
it's always a fun race to watch. And somehow, some way, 24 hours later, they're still racing to the end. I don't know how they do it, but they do it.
I
So
mean, I drive there from Indiana, so I know how they fucking do it.
there you go. There you go.
I basically do my own 24 hours of Daytona, except that
Oh
it's
yeah.
It's
more
24
like
hours to Daytona.
it's more like 34 hours round trip. So I pull an all-nighter, then I live a normal day, and by normal day I mean I day drink, and then I get up the next day and pull another all-nighter.
It's always
I don't
good
know how
driving
I don't
home
know how I don't
hungover.
die. Oh, I don't drive. I don't
Right.
take the first shift home. That was always Molly.
Oh,
But
there you go.
yeah, and God bless her
Well,
for that. So, all right. Thank you, everyone. You guys are awesome.
Mhm.
well,
Thanks,
Matt,
Emily. Thanks, Matt.
Matt,
Frank.
thanks for having us.
Mhm.
I mean, thanks for having us. Thanks for coming
Thanks
on
for
with
being here.
Yeah.
Matt,
Thanks for
Matt
having
and I.
us.
Matt and I couldn't be happier. And to everybody else out there listening, it's just stay tuned for the 24-hour. Remember just to subscribe and follow and all that good stuff, and then you'll never miss an episode. So until next time, guys, I'm gonna say take it easy, Matt.
Cheers.
Slancha. Or actually, I should say Nazarovia, because I'm drinking a White Russian.
Thanks.
All
Right
right,
on.
stop the recording.
Yep, I have no idea how the oh yeah, the OBS, is that recording? Yep, stop recording. Yeah, I recorded with OBS, I recorded with StreamYard's recording, and I
You're still
recorded with.
recording.
Am I?
Yes, you
Yeah.
are.
That's outstanding.
So I'm just going to hang on to the smile until you stop.
Does it
And
stop?
nicely posed.
That's my Olin Mills.
I like
No,
that.
the